ready for two guys who can handle the truth.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
But we can. Dave Palumbo, John Romano. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. This hour of Heavy Muscle Radio is brought to you by ALR Industries. Visit ALRindustries.com.
Welcome to our Christmas special here at Heavy Muscle Radio. My name's Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined as always by John Romano, my sidekick and co-host and best friend in the world. Oh. Johnny, welcome. It's Christmas week here in RX Muscle.
Yeah, you know, we finally got dumped on with a major snowstorm, so now it's actually starting to feel like that Christmas spirit. I think I'm going to go home and put the tree up and put some presents under it, or at least some empty boxes wrapped as presents, because I don't have any money for presents.
You know, we mentioned this last show. I haven't bought anyone a present yet, though.
You know what? I'm not going to buy it. I'm sending out an announcement, and maybe this is my first foray for that announcement. Nobody buy me anything, because I'm not buying you anything. Let's just say happy holidays and know that the thought was there, and that's going to be good enough for me, and it's going to have to be good enough for you.
I'm just giving money to the people I have to. But the truth be told, you know, I know we don't talk about the weather on here, but, you know, we haven't had a snowstorm in like 3 years here that I can remember. It might have been longer. You move up here from Florida, and we get a foot of snow on the first day of winter. I mean, it's unbelievable almost.
I got news for you. There's more than a foot out there.
Yeah, well, you know, I learned the hard way. I actually had to go out there and shovel today. The guy who usually lives downstairs from me, Louis, moved out, as you know, and he used to always shovel, him and his son. And so now I got Sean Andros living down there, and he's up in Boston somewhere, I don't know, carousing with someone, I don't know. So I had to get up, I had to put my gear on, and I got my shovel, and I started having flashbacks from when I was a kid, and my 90-year-old grandfather used to teach me how to shovel snow. He used to say to me, don't listen to your father, he doesn't know how to lift, he doesn't know how to shovel. I'll teach you. And he taught me how to shovel when I was about, 8 years old or 5 years old, I'd maybe be younger, 7 years old, and we used to shovel together. And I used to go out, and you remember back in the day when we used to want to make money and we would go shoveling people's walks in your neighborhood, and you make $20 here, $20 there. I may have, sometimes if I was lucky, I made $100, $150 for the day. I thought I was rich, beyond rich. Nowadays, there's 25 kids on the street. I guarantee I didn't see one kid out there shoveling a walk.
No, me neither.
Not one.
But everybody's got snow blowers.
No one had snow blowers. I saw all the fathers out there with shovels. These kids are freaking lazy. They were home watching TV or playing video games or on the computer. They don't want to do anything, these guys.
Our thing was raking leaves, and the funny thing was that my father sent me out to rake leaves one day with this huge lawn, and I'm out there raking leaves. I'm making piles. I'm going to put them in a bag later, right? So I'm out there raking leaves, and my father comes out, and he's standing there with a cigar in his mouth, and he's looking at me, and he's saying, who taught you how to rake leaves like that? I didn't teach you how to rake leaves like that. I don't want anybody thinking I taught you how to rake leaves like that. Now, bear in mind, I lived up a hill and nobody could see as a house from the street. But I had to have a leaf raking class so I wouldn't embarrass my father.
I never got into the leaf raking thing because I had this problem that I used to question was you rake all the leaves off your lawn and then your neighbor's leaves blow right on your lawn anyway, and you got to re-rake. So to me, I wasn't a raker. I like shoveling snow. You got to show off the snow off the walk. Maybe the plow came by and you had to do a little extra shoveling, but by and far, you cleared the walk, you were good.
Well, the fun thing about the snow last night, especially when it was coming down, was the 4x4 I have now for the winter car, and it was the truck my brother built is an absolute monster. It looks like a Tonka toy, and 4-wheel drive, Toyota Tacoma, all jacked up on the 33s. That thing is a monster. It's absolutely unstoppable. We were driving up past the park or around the corner up to where the sewage treatment plant is, and we're off-road within the snow, blasting through snowbanks, rooster tail and donuts and everything all over the place. It was an absolute blast.
You're telling me all this, but I was watching out my window. You look like you're having problems parking in front of my house there. You got stuck to me. I don't know. I didn't get stuck. I didn't see any 4x4.
No, when you pop the clutch and turn the wheel, the thing spins around right on itself and blows snow everywhere.
That thing's a stick shift?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely,
man. I didn't even know they even made those trucks in stick.
It's not. It's a 98. It's one of my brother's monster truck creations.
Gotcha.
It's incredible.
So Christmas is going to be here at the Ron Norman household for you and me.
Yes, actually, it's going to be a fun-filled day. It's going to start with a brutal workout in the morning at Ron Norman.
I'm skipping. I'm coming later.
I knew you were going to skip that, but Ron and I will be training. He and I have actually caught a couple of more workouts, and I think we're a good training team. And we're gonna hit a body part on Friday morning, which is Christmas Day, and then we're going to go upstairs, and Nancy and I are going to rattle some pots and pans and put a Christmas feast on the table around the time you come over.
We're going to have a Jewish Christmas, I heard.
A Jewish-Italian Christmas. The only kind. That's the best combo in the world.
Now, I'm bringing my dad, too. They love my dad. So
who doesn't love Sal?
Sal will be coming. It'll be just me, you, I guess Max and Sal. What a crew, huh?
Yeah, Ron and Nancy and the
twins, yeah.
Yep.
So Ron's like, I love to do these informal Christmases. I can wear sweatpants. I said, well, Ron, I'm coming in shorts, so don't think I'm dressing up for the occasion.
Be ready to expand because there's going to be a lot of food.
Yeah, hopefully there won't be too much sno or anything like that.
I'll give you a ride over if you have to.
I missed Frankie's sushi Christmas party yesterday, so
I can imagine that would have. I imagine a lot of people missed that because the weather was. I mean, it was horrible last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't even get through to him, so I don't know if it happened or not. I got to call him up and see. But
maybe we'll be lucky, and he's going to put it off a week.
There's a lot. I don't think so. But this is just a weird time of the year, Christmas. It's especially you're a little displaced. I'm a little displaced. With my relationship ending. So it's a weird Christmas. But we got a lot of exciting things happening. As you know, I just posted your article about the Bros versus Pros Battle of the Bench.
Yes.
Between Ben White, Robert Bernanke, and Maurice Guida. This is going to be one of the most anticipated strength liftoffs, I think, in quite some time. A lot of people were talking about the Battle of the Biceps, where we gave away $1,000 to Jeff, the producer, who defeated IFBB pro Michael Liberatore in a bicep curling contest with the 85-pound dumbbells. That's nothing compared to this, because Brutal Alchemy came up to the table with even more money this time around. We're going to be putting $2,000 up to the winner, who's going to do the most bench presses, full range repetitions with 315 pounds. Who do you think is going to take this thing, John?
I'm going to have to go with Ben White because I just like hearing him talk. So
that was quite, everyone's saying what great interview you did with him.
He was hysterical. I couldn't even write it all down. I mean, he was so funny because Ben White. There's no greater fan of Ben White's than Ben White, and he's not ashamed of it. And I'll tell you, when he starts rattling off about how everybody's trying to get him, and he's proved himself, and Johnny Jackson only beat him on the deadlift, and he didn't beat him on the bench, and he just knows that he's the bench master general. And I know Bernanke is cock diesel strong, and Maurice has got an incredible bench, and he's built like a tank, but Ben White's the bencher,
this is reps, and it's not only strength, it's reps too. So there's an endurance component to this, and you got Ben White, who's like Muhammad Ali, mouthing off and confident and cocky as hell. You got Robert Bernanke, who's like Dolph Lundgren from the Rocky IV movie. He's like stoned, this guy, and then you got Maurice, who's just like this is like one of these guys that you've seen in the gym for 100 years, like Pelletier, who just can bench. He's just like, that's like his thing. He does 515 on the bench, 550 on the bench, no spotter. He told me when he has a spotter around it makes him nervous. So this kid's a really strong guy. And if these guys start practicing, I think we might see upwards of 30 repetitions on this thing.
Easily. And, Ben was bold enough to say that he's going to do 5 more than Bernanke puts up. And Bernanke's no slouch. That's a strong mofo right there.
No, that's a bold statement.
But on the other hand, Ben White warms up with 315. So, he's not even up for doing a set with anything less than that to start off with.
I've seen Bernanke do 500-pound close bench presses, though, for his triceps. I'm nervous for Ben, I got to tell you, not because I think if it was just a real bench meet who can do more, Ben might come out ahead, but I think with the repetition thing, I think Bernayka's got a stake in this, and like I said, you don't write off the dark horse Maurice Guida. Having said that, let's not forget we're doing something a little different this time around. I want to get a little bit more involvement from the forum members and the fans, and we're giving the opportunity for anyone who comes down to this event that's going to be held at Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym in Syosset, New York, here on Long Island on July 31st. Anyone who comes down and wants to try to defeat these guys, they'll get to go first. We're going to have a little amateur hour at first, and we might get a dark horse guy who comes in and does 30 reps. I don't know, but if anyone who does 10 or 15, I think we're going to have different amounts. We're going to give away prizes, free T-shirts, free ass lightning, free some of the whey protein. Right. There's tremendous prize packages, and so this is an event that you're not going to want to just watch on the internet, but you're going to want to come down and see live.
Yeah, and Dave, there's $2,000 at stake here. I mean, that's more than third place at the Ironman Pro. I mean, this is real money.
You're without a doubt. I mean, this is worth it. I mean, we're not playing around here. I could have kept that money for us, with the sponsorship money, but I decided to put up as much as physically possible to make the athletes and show the athletes that we respect their strength, and that we want to make this an event that people look forward to. I mean, let's face it, John, what the hell's going on in the month of January in the bodybuilding world? Nothing.
No opportunity to make money. Now, you got to remember, those dark horses that you're talking about, other than Maurice, let's put the point of the compass in Bev Francis' gym's roof and draw a 150-mile radius. Or anybody could drive that in 2 hours.
Sure.
Any of these monsters. There's Pittsburgh. There's all those. There's some incredibly strong people down there.
Connecticut, upstate New York,
upstate
Jersey,
all over. There's some incredible hardcore gyms in that radius. There's Diamond Gym. There's Apollon Gym. There's what's that gym in outside Pittsburgh that Louis Simmons owns? That's within West Side Barbell. That's within driving distance. Any monster can come jump in their car.
It's $2,000 up for grabs, man,
and they can live it up and drive back with $1,500 if they win it. I mean, this is real money. This is real money.
And look, we're bringing the stars in, but you know what? Everyone is open to come see this thing, and I guarantee it's going to be an event that people are going to be talking about for a long time. And as always, John, we will tape the whole thing with the pre-interviews, the post-interviews, and it will be up online, hopefully, that night, so the people who can't make it out here will get to see it and enjoy it, and it'll be something to look forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's going to be an incredible, and people love watching people lift heavy weight. You can work out in any gym in the world, and bench presses are a dime a dozen, but as soon as those plates get on, those 3 plates go on each side, it's always something to respect when someone can rock that more than 10 times. And Ben White is the like I said before, he's an incredible bencher, and to watch a guy like him or Bernayka or anybody that to get under that weight and just keep repping it out is an awesome sight.
Well, also you got to take your hat off to Ben White for opening this up and not being afraid to take on all comers. That shows a lot of confidence in him. Obviously, the IFBB Pro always has the onus on them because people expect them to win. I mean, Liberatore also, a real gentleman. He came here, he gave it 100%. It was very close, and the entertainment was something that you can't predict. It's just exciting to see a regular guy going up against an IFBB Pro. So that's something we got to look forward to later in January. Obviously, we still have our New Year's year wrap-up special. That's going to be next Monday night, John. We don't stop here at Heavy Muscle Radio. We go straight through, and we have some good stuff to talk about next week about what happened over this past year. If you think about it, John, it was about 10, maybe 11 months ago that we got fired from MD and we started RX Muscle, and look where we are now.
Yeah, I was going back over. Actually, Pro Bodybuilding Weekly had their end of the year show. I guess it was last week, and they made mention of us, being one of the standout situations of 2009. And you looking back on it, it almost seems like a lifetime ago that we were had hit the unemployment line and we're deciding what to do. And remember, we had a couple of meetings with with our friends in the industry to decide, what maybe we should do, or what we should do with the radio show, or what steps we should take. And then, lo and behold, it's 10 months later, and we're with the top site for bodybuilding contest coverage and photo galleries, and our Alexa numbers past MDs. And I just think for the course that we've taken over the year, combined with a incredible announcement that we're going to make probably on our next show. Our rise has been nothing short of miraculous, and I've been real proud to be with you through this whole time. And moving up here was a big change of life for me and Max, and it's absolutely been totally worth it. And I can't imagine having done anything else.
Well, I feel the same about you, and I think we have a great crew of guys here that have been worked real hard, giving their blood, sweat, and tears, to this project. And I think we're going to bring on a lot more next year. And like I said, hopefully we'll have a real good announcement to make next week that will really shock people and shake up this industry. So I'm looking forward to that. Having said that, I would be remiss to not mention the fact that we had a very good Christmas party this past Friday night. Actually, we were lucky we had to change it. It was supposed to be Saturday night, but we got the snowstorm that had been predicted. So we went out Friday night to Glow. We took Jeff, the producer, Big Sean Andros, myself, you, and Derek Anthony, of course. Nick the Stick chickened out, and we went out and we had a good time. We let loose a little bit there, and I have to tell you, it was probably one of the better times I've had out in the club, and it was the first time I'd been out in about 5 years. I think it was.
I think the last time I was out, I was with you,
probably 5 years ago, at a Craig Titus after party.
We're actually out at a club where we weren't working. I think we were at Sound Factory or something.
Yeah, maybe it's that long ago. Yeah.
I woke up, or when did we get home? Around 4 or 5 in the morning, and I woke up the next day, and my face actually was sore from smiling so much. I was at the time of my life, man.
Yeah, we look pretty fucked up in those pictures too. If you guys look online, I'm sure you've seen us. We were feeling no pain that night. So
banged up.
Talk about you got to let loose once in a while. So we let loose. We had a great Christmas party. I think the camaraderie was great, and Derek is I guess back in rare form again, huh?
Yeah, it was fun being out with Derek, because I don't think I've ever been out with Derek before.
I used to go with him all the time.
I know, you used to go almost every weekend. You guys. Well, actually, we're back into that situation. All 5 of us are single, and I imagine that's the first. That was a warm up. I imagine that's the first of many. I think we're going to be dragging ourselves to clubs all around Long Island and New York in the weeks and months to come.
Well, we still got a couple more weeks before the show season starts, so I'm sure there'll be a few more weekends out. So
I think the next time we should make an announcement and tell everybody where to.
Yeah, I think we got to get the whole RX community who lives around here to come meet us, because we should have an RX muscle party at one of these clubs.
Well, pending this incredible announcement that we're going to be making soon, I think that's going to be cause to really celebrate. And not only are we going to shock the world, but I think all of our fans are going to be really, really happy, and they're going to want to party right along with us.
Speaking about partying, what I really find really nice about going to clubs nowadays, and this is the last couple of years, is that they don't let you smoke in the clubs anymore. You notice that they have a smoking deck outside?
Yeah.
I think that's why when I left, I felt so good. I didn't feel like, usually you feel suffocated, you're coughing your guts out the next morning, because it's like you smoked 18 cigarettes, when you come back from these things. It was so pleasant not to have that cigarette smoke in the club. I applaud the New York State lawmakers for that.
Although I did smell people smoking some weed here and there.
Yeah, but it wasn't really that bad.
There were no clouds wafting
through. It wasn't like some girl blowing smoke in your face. You know what I mean?
Speaking of girls blowing smoke, there were some smoking hotties in that place. I was shocked. I haven't been out in a club in Long Island, and I was amazed at the quantity and quality of the girls in there. They were just beautiful.
Well, you know what? The girls in Long Island, unlike some of the other states around that I've been to, they really, when they go out, they really work on their outfits, the hair, the nails, the makeup. It's a big event, and I think that when you walk in there, you just see that, those, the way they're dressed and prepped and primped, and it just, it's different than seeing any place else. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
And most of them had dark hair. That's what I noticed. It was, in Florida and California, it's mostly blondes, but here they're all dark haired and sultry looking.
It's winter.
But I mean, I'll tell you.
Maybe all the blondes are taken here. I don't know.
Who knows? But it was awfully nice to be in that warm environment.
Yeah. Well, talking about, once again, bringing up cigarettes, a new study just came out, and they found that if you smoke just 15 cigarettes, now that's not per day, that's just 15 cigarettes, period, you could actually damage the DNA of your cells. Can you believe that?
Permanently?
Permanently, yep. 15 cigarettes.
Wow. Now, and what kind of damage are we talking about here?
Well, these range from up to 20,000 different mutations can happen, changing actually the genetic code of the cells. I mean, that's how bad it is.
Wow.
Now, the cells do have an ability to repair themselves and fend off rogue mutations, but when you're smoking, it kind of inhibits the body's ability to repair itself. So I mean, this is a huge statement. I always knew that. I just intuitively knew that this stuff is no good for you. Anything that smells that bad can't be good for you.
Well, the number of carcinogens and toxic compounds in cigarette smoke, is such that the data, the subsequent data that equates to mortality and disease is so overwhelming that I just have this big problem with understanding why those things are legal. When you're taking something like marijuana, which is completely innocuous by comparison, even steroids and performance enhancing drugs, why there is such an absolute witch hunt for these items when right here, right in front of your face, is something that's killing people by the minute.
Yeah, these cigarettes companies are subsidizing the re-election campaigns of all the congressmen. That's the problem.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is pretty disgusting. Well, we went from one nasty, disgusting little thing, but let's go to something that's a little bit more lighthearted. 59 years these people were married, John, to this couple, James 59? And Loli Bracken. Okay, for 59 years they would married. They died within minutes apart.
No, really?
Yep. They were both in a nursing home, and within 10 minutes, the two of them passed away together. They were according to the children, they were that couple that always held hands and told them they loved each other. It was the perfect marriage, something you don't never see anymore. And one was 79, one was 76, and actually the husband served 2 tours, including Vietnam and Korea. He had been in.
Wow.
So this guy had been seen it all pretty much, and all through that they never fell out of love. It's amazing.
That's not that old. By today's standards,
79 and 76.
My they're in a nursing home. I mean,
well, one was, and then the other one, also had some problems. But it's almost like they died. They just did, their bodies they didn't want to live without each other. So
I've heard of that before, but not that that soon. Well, look at the Menser brothers. Look at Ray and Mike.
Right.
I mean, they were within a week of each other.
Didn't one kill themselves?
No. They both died. And
there's a link there. These twins. You see that in twins. Sometimes you see that in a married couple. But it gives you hope that maybe there's hope that you could actually find a mate that will be for life, and that the connection will be that intimate that you just know it's right.
But Dave, you and I are out of time for something that meaningful to happen to us. I mean, I'm going to be 50 next year. Okay,
I'm not that old,
but you're not that far behind. I mean, I'm going to be a freaking 100 before
we're going to live to 100, so it doesn't matter. We might be crippled by then, but we'll be.
I don't know if I want to be 100 and married to the same person.
Well, you probably will outlive them. But, we're survivors.
I've already had a couple of lives under my belt. So far, and I think I can handle 2-3 more.
Well, hopefully this one will be the best one that we're building up to. Yeah. Now, did you hear about this music group? There's a Canadian rap group known as Swollen Members. Ironically enough, and that wasn't really the joke of the story, but now that I think about it, it is kind of funny. They have this tour bus that they've been traveling around in, and I don't know how it happened. The actual tour bus had the name the Black Pearl. It was an all black tour bus. It got stuck on the railroad tracks at a railroad crossing, and they were trying to push the bus off, and I guess they the railroad thing came down, and they knew the train was coming. They had 40 seconds to get off the freaking bus, and the train actually destroyed the bus, hit the bus. No one got killed, luckily, because they got off in time, but can you imagine that? That's pretty scary shit, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's it's their fault for naming it the Black Pearl because that was the ship that the Pirates of the Caribbean wrote.
Right, I know.
And which ultimately sunk. So you never name your tour bus after a doomed ship.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Would you ever want to go on, like, if we had like a tour bus? Would you ever want to like travel the country in a tour bus? I don't know if that would be cool or not.
Actually, Dave, I was friends with a guy in upstate New York when I was building my first car back when I was a teenager, who built the tour bus. He built tour buses, and he built one for the Commodores. Mm-hmm. And I had become friends with the guitar player for the Commodores, a guy named Tommy McClary, who wrote the song Brick House. Right. And I actually got a ride around in their tour bus for a couple days. With Tommy.
Cool?
It was absolutely insane. That thing had, and this was 1977. It had, but for that time, I can imagine what they're like now. Yeah. But for that time, it had a tile bathroom and tufted upholstery everywhere, TVs coming out of the woodwork.
Really?
It was unbelievable.
Was it comfortable? I mean,
it was cush.
Really,
it was really cool.
Maybe we got to look into a tour bus.
Yeah, can you imagine like the RX Muscle tour bus? And we're going to hit every gym on Route 66. No,
just going like cross country to all the different shows. I mean, that would be cool. I mean, we could work while we're driving and stuff like that.
We'd have to get a containment vessel for Jeff, the producer.
We have too many personalities. I don't think we would all be able to take the show.
We would not be able
Jeff
to survive.
Wouldn't sleep forever.
No, he'd be drumming on everything. It'd drive us nuts.
Yeah, Jeff would be. Actually, speaking of Jeff, we forgot to mention him. Jeff got snowed in Brooklyn there. When the plow came, it buried his car that was parked on the side of the road, and he couldn't get out. So I told him, don't worry about it. I said, we taped the show, and then he can edit it later. But poor Jeff. Jeff had a good time. I had never seen Jeff in such a good mood this past weekend at the party.
I was just going to say that. Jeff completely came out of his shell. He was so pleasant to be with. I mean, he was joking around. Every time I saw him, he took a walk. I mean, he took a lap around the club when he came back, and he looked like he was smiling. He was smiling ear to ear. He was just so happy.
When we got home, he wanted to go out again. He told me, let's find after hours. I said, Jeff, get some sleep. I need you to be working Sunday. Ironically enough, he didn't have to make it on Sunday.
I think that night out proved that, we need more nights out because everybody was just needed more. And, I mean, even Sean, I saw Sean smiling for the first time. I know.
Actually, Sean in this crazy weather drove up to Massachusetts. I mean, talk about the dedication.
There must be some smoking hottie up there.
There must be. Yeah. So I don't know who he's meeting up there, but he was enough for him to drive in the snow. That's for sure.
Well, his family's in Poughkeepsie, so we know it's not family.
No. I know he's up there visiting with some woman of the female persuasion.
He's viewing.
Anyway, all right. Well, we got to go to commercial break, John. When we come back, though, we are going to have our first guest.
All right. See you until.
This is Heavy Muscle Radio, only on RxMuscle.com. ALR Industries. ALR Industries products are backed by 3 decades of experience in the science and lifelong dedication to bodybuilding from its founder, author L. Ray. In 2001, ALR Industries was created to give the hardcore bodybuilder the edge you need to build the perfect beast. Hyperdrive 3.0 is a synergistic blend of fat-burning herbs which yields the most potent legally available formula on the market today. Hyperdrive 3.0 will burn fat, control your appetite, improve your mood and focus, and give you an energy boost you've never experienced. Restore blocks estrogen, enhances libido, and optimizes free testosterone. You'll be stronger, recover faster, and build muscle like never before. Then fuel your workouts with the great tasting and energy enhancing Hyper Shot. Hyper Shot will boost your athletic performance to new levels, allowing you to train harder, improve your endurance, and get the most out of your time in the gym. Whining is not an option for those who refuse to accept mediocrity. Visit ALRindustries.com today. When you hit the gym, you set in motion a fundamental set of molecular activation signals and cellular growth mechanisms that deliver your desired gains in mass and strength. The magnitude of those processes, as well as how efficiently your muscles recover force production, can dramatically affect your net progress in a training cycle. Progenics protein supplements interact precisely and powerfully to amplify these pathways to produce enhanced growth responses of 100% or more compared to conventional whey protein sources. And they facilitate facilitate full recovery of force production in just 6 hours following the most grueling workout, allowing you to train harder, more frequently, for more dramatic gains. Experience the exclusive metabolic advantage available from Nature's Toolbox and Dr. Scott Connolly, renowned pioneer in applied dairy science and inventor of the original Metrex product. Go to progenixsrg.com and use the code NBR801 to get 10% off the purchase of any single Progenix product.
When the world crumbles around you, will you be ready to fight back? Brutal Alchemy Performance Nutrition's unique line of supplements will help you win the war in the gym. Ancient Strength is a unique blend of 3 creatine esters which will infuse you with the ancient strength needed for the battle at hand. Isolation is a pure whey protein isolate that provides 26 grams of protein in every 29-gram scoop. Attack NO2 is Brutal Alchemy's nitric oxide booster that will increase your pumps and performance. After your battle in the gym, it's time for Onslaught, Brutal Alchemy's comprehensive post-workout drink, providing everything you need to suffuse your muscles, joints, and body with the components to heal, grow stronger, and return to the fray. And when it's time to conquer in the bedroom, you'll need Forged Steel, Brutal Alchemy's male enhancement product. Lead the charge to BrutalAlchemy.com to obtain the essential elements of your brutal transformation. Brutal Alchemy. It's better to be a member of the Horde than to be destroyed by it. RxMuscle.com introduces the cheapest and fastest growing discount supplement store on the net. DiscountSupplements.com. DiscountSupplements.com not only has the best prices on all of the industry's most popular products, but they also offer next day delivery for just $7.99. You heard right. For a flat fee of just $7.99, most orders arrive the next day at a price that simply cannot be beat. As a matter of fact, their prices and service are so good, we made them the official store for RxMuscle.com. If you haven't visited DiscountSupplements.com, what are you waiting for? Visit DiscountSupplements.com today. Plasmatic is the next generation of nitric oxide amplifiers. Plasmatic contains the clinically proven glycocarn and other exclusive cofactors to give you a better pump, extreme vascularity, and aid in both performance and recovery. Plasmatic is the only next generation nitric oxide amplifier that contains no L-arginine. Plasmatic's proprietary blend is manufactured using a state-of-the-art liquid capsule technology and lipomatic delivery. See Plasmatic today at your local vitamin shop or call us now at 866-GET-EST1 or visit us on the web at ESTnutrition.com. Plasmatic. Results guaranteed. German American Technologies. Compete harder with GAT supplements. Need energy? Gotta lose the fat? Jet fuel is the answer. Want to build muscle? Use Testogen to ramp up testosterone and start adding the size. How about some muscle exploding pumps and an enhanced training experience? You gotta get your hands on some Jet Fuel. GAT's newest nitric oxide training supplement that's guaranteed to work the second you try it. Join the team. Visit German American Technologies website now at TeamGAT.com. That's TeamGAT.com. German American Technologies. Compete harder. TeamGAT.com.
Get in D-Mix. That's D-Mix, the world's first energy pump that combines the most essential nutritional elements for overall health with efficiency, cool, and easy to use. D-Mix is the most powerful and unique multivitamin antioxidant energy formula on the market. D-Mix is a nutritional wonder that lasts up to 4 days. D-Mix is available in 3 delicious flavors: coffee, mint, and punch. Each flavor is designed to be taken on its own or added to other beverages. D-Mix. Don't drink, just pump. Healthy energy.
Who are the Iron Sirens? The heroes: Susie Curry, Adela Garcia, Jenny Lynn, Crystal Richardson. Who are the Dark Divas? Gina Aliotti as Diva X, Jen Gates as Shade, Liza Kamstra as Black Lotus, Sonia Gonzalez as Raptress, and their story is told only in Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens is a one-of-a-kind limited edition comic book series and is the brainchild of J.M. Mannion. Order your copy of Iron Sirens today before they're gone. Visit IronSirensComics.com. That's IronSirensComics.com to get your copy of Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens.
RxMuscle.com. Now you have a place to turn when you want the truth on bodybuilding, diet, and exercise, up-to-the-minute news, and more. Visit the RxMuscle.com forums featuring celebrity Q&As with IFBB professional athletes, top amateurs, and the brightest minds in the industry. Listen to our weekly radio shows, including Heavy Muscle Radio, Muscle Girls Inc., After Hours, and more. Contest coverage, videos, even our own social networking site, RX Muscle Place. Visit RxMuscle.com. Heavy Muscle Radio.
Hi, this is Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. You are listening to Heavy Muscle Radio with John Romano and Dave Colombo. And keep listening, the best show on the air.
This hour of Heavy Muscle Radio is brought to you by Progenics. Visit ProgenicsSRG.com.
All right, our next guest is no stranger to Heavy Muscle Radio. He is probably the most notorious figure in sports history today. Some have gone so far as to call him the Adolf Hitler of sports doping. I'd like to welcome back to the show our good friend, the one and only Victor CONTE. Victor, how are you?
Pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Vic. It's our pleasure, actually. Tiger Woods. He's all over the news, Victor. We can expect all kinds of stories to come out about his fall from grace, but I was actually floored when I read about a potential Balco connection and comments about Tiger Woods from Victor CONTE. How the hell did you get roped into the Tiger Woods scandal?
Well, let me open by saying that, although I believe there are reasons to be suspicious, Tiger certainly deserves the benefit of the doubt. So I'd like to say that up front. But the connection is really one at a distance. There's a guy by the name of Mark Lindsay. He's an excellent chiropractor that specializes in active release technique. And I met him through Bill Romanowski. Met a lot of people actually through Bill Romanowski, but Mark is one of those. And back in the late 1990s, Romo had him working with the Denver Broncos, and then thereafter the Oakland Raiders, and so I worked closely with Mark and Romo, and then thereafter I actually referred Mark to Marion Jones and Tim Montgomery and some of the other sprinters, and worked with him at the World Championships, the Track and Field Championships in 2001 in Edmonton. So that's really the connection. I know him. He's been to Balco. We've talked many times. He's just one of many consultants that I used at Balco.
It's almost like you can play the game, that game with Kevin Bacon, the 6 degrees of separation, or however that is. All celebrities revert to Kevin Bacon. It's almost possible to play that with Victor CONTE at this point in time.
Well, it certainly seems like what they're trying to do. As an example, the most recent, story here involving Marion Jones was the ruling that her relay teammates were going to lose their medals. Now we're talking about 4x1 and 4x4, and of course they have alternates that receive medals too. So 10 of her relay teammates will be losing their medals. Well, the headline said, Balco doper Jones's teammates to lose medals. So these girls have nothing to do with me, but of course, any way they can find to lead a headline with the word Balco, they seem to try to do so.
Well, it seems like they listen to you in one respect, because I guess they're not giving out a gold medal for the year that, in that 100 meters at all. They're not going to give it to the second or the third place girl.
This is a very tough situation. In a recent interview that I did, I basically stated that here we are, almost 10 years after the fact. Some of these other athletes that competed against Marion Jones were from countries, specifically in the Caribbean, are some of them who there was no independent anti-doping federation there. And make a long story short, I think at this point, they're in some cases just taking a medal away from one cheater and giving it to another.
Right, but they listen to you. For once in the history of sport, they listened to Victor CONTE. They did not give out another gold medal to someone.
Yeah, it's just an amazing thing that somehow the IOC, everything that I say and everything that I do is openly criticized by them. I know I sent you a link about this nomination for Villain of the Decade in sports, and I don't know if you've seen the
I voted for you. I voted for you,
results, but at this point I'm tied for second place along with Tiger.
I voted for you because I figured you needed the publicity. So, I think you're a much bigger villain than Tiger Woods. Yeah. But speaking of Tiger Woods, you made some other claims. You and I have talked, and Tiger Woods is over 6 feet tall. He used to weigh probably look like he weighed about 135 pounds when he first was on the tour. He looks like he thickened out quite a bit. And you had a theory that maybe this guy's taking some stuff as well. There's no anti-doping in golf, is there?
No, there's not. And, I certainly don't think it's likely that he did anything illegal. You put it in the context, this whole situation with him, going from 158 to 185 or 190. In Tiger's case, it did happen in a relatively short period of time. People talk about and have used in the past, the before and after photos with Barry Bonds. But Barry really, he was 37 when they took some of the after photos, and probably 18 or 19 when he took the before. And in a period of a year after I started working with him, of course, he gained 20 pounds, and he's a bigger guy. He went from 208 to 228. So, I think that in a short period of time to increase at that point, I basically said what I said as kind of a joke, that I wonder if his enhanced libido had anything to do with his increase in muscle mass.
But why wouldn't it? Like you said, it's not illegal in golf. There's no anti-doping testing there, right?
Look, in short, I believe this is another witch hunt. It's a diversion. Why don't they take these taxpayer dollars and try to do something about the economy or something that's important? It just, much like I believe back, with the Iraq War, that all of a sudden here Bush is talking about Balco and steroids, and I believe in part that their strategy was to use the entire scandal as a diversion. I think that may be going on in this case as well.
Well, that being said, let's talk about Dr. Anthony Galea for a second. He has just been indicted for crossing the border from Canada with some, quote, suspicious items in his car. I think it was actually his assistant. I don't know if it was actually confirmed whether he was in the car or not, but it was definitely attributed to him. But now, what do you think of the connection to Tiger Woods and the knee-jerk assumption that because of Galea, that Tiger must be jacked?
Well, as you know, there's an entire list of elite athletes that work with this guy that, it's not that there isn't suspicion regarding some of them. As you know, Dara Torres, for one, there's been lots of suspicion surrounding her and others, but there's no credible evidence. They've never tested positive. There's maybe reason to be suspicious, but I just don't think that you can connect the dots like they're trying to do. I love that recent article that I sent to you about, the Tiger Woods and the criticizing sports journalists and what they're doing here. And what's interesting is recently regarding that, I put out a positive and supportive statement saying, while I understand that there are suspicions, I support him and hope that he has the opportunity to heal his relationships with his family, and he deserves the benefit of the doubt. Nobody picked up on it.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's not interesting. No one wants to get Victor Conte saying something positive.
So, I think this guy, I tell you, I have tremendous respect for Mark Lindsay. That's the doctor that Tiger originally was referred to, and then Mark referred him to Galea. And, these techniques, this blood spinning, the plasma-rich platelets injections, right. This isn't anything new. This was first published back in 1980. It's been around for 3 decades. Right. So, is it effective? I think it is. Is there widespread use of this technique? Yes. Platelets have multiple growth factors that help to regenerate the tendon or ligament matrix. So I just think it's all about blowing this up and headlines and driving the sales of newspapers and magazines and online media that can generate advertising dollars.
Yeah, but Victor, why in this environment with a doctor with the notoriety of a Dr. Anthony Galea cross the Canadian border with growth hormone in his possession? I mean, what would possess this guy to be that stupid?
I'm not sure that he actually is the one that did that. He may have been riding with her. I don't know how he got from one side of the border to the other, but, I know of other cases, as an example, in Mexico where people will get out and they'll have one person drive through in case something happens and the others will walk through over the border. I'm not saying that I have knowledge that happened, but it was reported that shortly thereafter he met with her. After they detained her and all the rest of it, that was the idea that he was going to meet her as soon as she came over. So I think that she I don't know whether that was a good move or a bad move, because now she's acting as a witness for them.
She was the mule.
On that same subject, Victor, our favorite journalist, Christine Brennan, who we know to be Integrity Baron of USA Today, was quick to imply, without a shred of evidence, mind you, that Tiger used performance-enhancing drugs or cheated in any way on the golf course, that Tiger may have been jacked. Now, this is a classic example of that knee-jerk reaction I talked about that has turned otherwise credible journalists into these sort of TMZ-style tabloid idiots. Now, no one has more experience with the media than Victor CONTE. Why do you think that journalism has sunk to this level that somebody like Christine Brennan would go out and say something like this?
Well, as was stated in that article, basically the theme was when they said again, what they mean is 6 years post-Balco, it seems like they didn't learn anything from the Balco case, which it started with a big explosive bang, and 6 years later, they can't connect the dots with Barry Bonds, and it ends with a whimper. So why would they jump all over this, and basically have learned nothing from the Balco legal case? That's what really doesn't make sense, is they turn right around and do the exact same thing they did before that at the end of the day really didn't bear the fruit that they thought it would.
She was extremely critical of Patrick Arnold, him not getting enough time. That in her mantra, he should be doing life without. I mean, what do we do with these journalists that have this sort of witch hunt vendetta attitude that want to wipe basically all sorts of sports performance enhancement off the face of the earth?
I believe that the tide is starting to turn. I really do. They're sick of these sports journalists. They're the ones that are now becoming a focus. And I communicate with a lot of different sports journalists, and they find that article that I passed on to you guys that was criticizing sports journalism, and they all find it very interesting. And I think, we're beginning to see, let's just put it in perspective. Let's take Selena Roberts and her book about A-Rod. Bottom line, it didn't sell. It probably sold 16,000 copies. They wrote the book about Roger Clemens. It sold probably 15,000 copies. I just don't believe that people at this point think that the information they're initially provided is accurate.
Interesting. Do you think it's going to stop, or you think they're going to keep digging and looking for more, going to more sports and looking at more top athletes and trying to out them?
It's a great question, and it depends upon their motive, and I believe it's, once again, being used as a diversion from other things that they should be doing. I think it's really a poor use of federal taxpayer dollars. It's interesting that it seems almost now, in the last day or two, that it's kind of died down a bit. I mean, I haven't seen anything from yesterday or today, but so I think that at some point, until they will follow this case, and depending upon what happens there, and initially his attorney is coming out saying there's absolutely no connection, there's no evidence. I think where this goes is going to be dependent upon what evidence comes out, and hopefully they've learned something here from the Balco case and the Barry Bonds case, and if they don't have a strong case, that they won't try to take it to trial and continue to waste everybody's time by reading these crazy headlines.
The thing that drives me crazy is that, you said it, John and I have been saying it. We know all these top athletes are using some kind of performance-enhancing drugs. At least 99% of them probably are. Hasn't society got it yet and just realized that it's not going away, and that these guys are using stuff, and that, at some point they're going to have to just close their eyes to it?
It's an interesting point regarding athletes, but I think you can take that same point and apply it to Hollywood, and many of the actors and actresses there are using performance-enhancing substances. Sure. Many members of society, I think we live in a pharmacologically enhanced society. I think sports is just a microcosm of what's going on in the society that we live in. So I think people will look back on Balco and Tiger Woods and all of this years from now, and, like it's been said before, in possibly the same light as Prohibition.
We're going to look at it and we're going to say, what a bunch of idiots we were back then. What a waste of time this freaking was.
Well, and
money. Money.
What about all the positive benefits when used appropriately that from performance-enhancing drugs? I mean, they want to just throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak, and it's just simply wrong. And I think that the use of these substances is not going to decline. I think it's going to even further increase.
You know what the funny thing is, and I'd love to, I don't know if it would be possible to ever figure this out. I'd like to see that the guys in Congress that are like rallying against all these drugs in sport, see how many of these guys are actually on testosterone replacement or growth hormone therapy. I bet we'd be shocked to find out that a lot of them are.
I agree, and if they told the truth, they'd probably say that I feel much better, more energy, libido stronger, I'm recovering from exercise better. This is great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the getting back to the media here for a minute, and the government for that matter too, these guys have pretty much aided and abetted your buddy Jeff Nowitzki to break all kinds of laws and commit unethical acts in this witch hunt that they're doing. And I think they empowered Nowitzki to the point where he actually refused to obey Judge Susan Ilston's order to turn over the names of the Major League Baseball players that he stole from the labs where they were tested for PEDs. That was part of the agreement by MLB. Now, not one mainstream media journalist ever questioned Nowitzki's act. Now, why do you think there's such this kind of like us against them attitude as he's aligned the press with such, as the press has been aligned with such an unscrupulous investigator as Nowitzki?
Well, I think some of these media sources, the Chronicle, the Game of Shadows, book authors, members of the New York Times are getting their information from that side. So that's what they're reporting. They're the government's the puppets, and they're the puppeteers.
Yeah, but you've said, and I've said, it's been, I'm sure, said by other people too, that in the broad view of this whole thing, when you look at Nowitzki and what he did in the Balco case and Barry Bonds, in his personal vendetta against Barry Bonds, that not only did he break rules of conduct and commit unethical acts, but he cheated, and I'm almost quoting you here, he cheated worse than the athletes he was trying to catch. So,
in that New York Times article where they called him an American hero, that's right. Exactly what I said. I said, yes, athletes cheat to win, but the government cheats to win too.
Now, why is it that this gets swept under the rug when it's our tax dollars that are funding this folly? And, clearly, the ethics standards which should be upheld by those in charge, the people that we charge with upholding the law and investigating, they get to get away with this.
Well, it's just simply wrong. what else can you say about it?
And no journalist will ever pick that up.
I think, as I said earlier, the tide is starting to turn. If you noticed, you don't see Nowitzki's name in the headlines anymore. Since he went over to the FDA and all these recent search warrants, he's not signing any of them. He's still there. He's in the background. I believe Travis Tygart's his new front man at USADA. But I think that he's kind of damaged goods at this point. I believe that people are beginning to see, and as you pointed out, Judge Ilston ruled in a way that she believes that what he did was over the line, that he was breaking the law. And, you got to go back and look at the very beginning of the Balco case, where we filed a motion to dismiss the case based upon investigative misconduct. She granted us an evidentiary hearing, which was an extremely important event because that enabled us to subpoena Nowitzki and these other agents that raided Balco. And when the government realized that, and that we were going to get him on the stands, and that their stories may not have been congruent with what's in his reports, all of a sudden you notice here comes this global plea deal, and it's over, and they're saying, whoa, the wrist slap that was heard around the world, what happened here?
Right.
Well, a big part of what happened here is Nowitzki was getting ready to get on the stand, and all the things that have been written about regarding big sections of the memorandum of activity being missing, and I just don't believe that under oath that these other agents would have taken the risk and supported, and I think Nowitzki could have been possibly outed very early on.
Do you think if you had gone to trial, you might have won?
Probably not, and the reason why is because I made the decision in 2004 to go on 2020 and basically admit regarding the sharing of the testosterone cream. And I believe that I would have won the money laundering charge. I certainly believe that would have been I would have won that. But some experts, there were about 6 of them, legal experts. There was an article in the New York Times. 3 of them said this guy's crazy because all they have to do is roll the tape of him being on television and he'll be convicted. And the other 3 said, we think he's crazy like a fox and knows exactly what he's doing.
well, that would have brought Nowitzki to the stand and really caved in their house of cards, wouldn't it?
It would have, but you got to understand that it would have also brought every single one of the athletes involved to the stand as well.
Yeah. Isn't it the incredible irony at this point that you're pleading guilty to the charges that you pled to and accepting the government's deal, saving Nowitzki the embarrassment of being outed on the stand, ended up with Victor Conte being labeled a snitch?
Well, it's just simply not true. I mean, you look at the logic of it. They claimed, or he claimed in his report that I made a confession. If there would have been a confession and I would have been cooperating with the government, there would have never been a grand jury.
Right.
The reason they convened the grand jury was to get them to testify against me because I didn't give them any information. They, as everybody knows, they had me under surveillance and with all sorts of search warrants. They had all phone records and emails and everything that was in my trash and mail and everything else. So they knew a lot. They also came in and confiscated all the various files on everybody that was associated. So they had all this information, and then he just conveniently wrote up a memorandum and pretty much said whatever he wanted to do. But ultimately, people said what they said. I don't think anybody ever believed that these grand jury transcripts at some point would become public. But because I indicated that Nowitzki had violated the protective order himself by sharing athletes' information at a water conference. I think they believed that, and the strategy was, frankly, behind the scenes, was in the event that the Barry Bonds case ever goes to trial or would go to trial, that Nowitzki would be asked about this. And they knew this. And so what action steps do I believe that they took? They vacated the protective order.
Interesting.
So now all the information is available publicly.
Let's switch gears here for a second, Victor. Dwight Chambers versus Usain Bolt. This might happen in 2010. Who wins?
Bolt, hands down, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's, I've stated publicly that I have suspicions about him as well. If you look at the history there, in Beijing, the top 3 female sprinters were all from Jamaica. In the men's 100, 2 of the top 3 were from the Caribbean. It's just, obviously I hear all sorts of stuff because I have my ear to the ground regarding it. I know a lot of athletes that are from the Caribbean, right. And I just believe there's some use of performance-enhancing drugs by some of these athletes. I don't want to name any individual athlete and create another, $25 to $40 million lawsuit against me, but I think it's certainly these performances should be viewed as being suspicious.
Who's got more raw talent?
Bolt by far, and I worked with a lot of top track coaches over the years, including Charlie Francis and the Ukrainian Remy Korchemny, who's a great coach and a tremendous technician. And he says that Bolt just has absolutely great biomechanics. His form is just unbelievable. His positioning of his feet and the way he uses his arms. I mean, he's got the absolutely perfect technique. Plus, he's a freak physically as well.
Yeah.
So he's just from another world. He really is. Now, are you compounding other things on top of that? I don't know. It's people used to ask me what I thought that a human could run without drugs, and I used to think it was maybe 9.9. The guy's taking it into the 9.5s. I mean, this is knowing what I know about when you use that sort of acceleration and torque and the damage that it does to muscle tissue and the length of time that it takes to recover from that kind of an output. It's incredible. The guy does it week in and week out.
What do you think is it? Let's fantasize here for a minute. Let's say Usain Bolt was given every drug we can possibly give him that would help his performance. How fast do you think this guy could really run?
Well, the history of sprinters, a lot of times they run faster as they get older. Let's look at Carl Lewis. This guy ran 9.86, which was the world record in 1991, and I think he was 36 years old. Linford Christie won the gold medal. I believe he was 33 at the time. So what I'm trying to say is I think there's more to come from this guy.
Well, we've talked about the sort of the use of whatever compounds to increase performance, and it's sort of known that a sprinter will run faster off drugs than when he's on drugs. So clearly, the time that anybody's going to use them is in the off season when they're training, and in a place like the Caribbean or Jamaica, there's very little, if any, drug testing protocol in the off season. Is Usain Bolt's natural physical ability enough that if he was sort of sequestered in some kind of training camp where they kept tabs on him and wouldn't let him use anything, do you think his natural ability without juice in the off season would make that much of a difference for him today with the records that he's setting?
You're asking me do I think the drugs, if he's using them, would make that much difference?
Yeah.
Of course,
but he can't use them during competition. So
yeah, but
it's
listen,
only a couple weeks.
That's what people don't understand, and why I've loudly been criticizing USADA and WADA. First of all, there's no transparency with any of these organizations regarding mistests. They also don't even differentiate between you've got in competition tests, but then you have what they classify as out of competition tests. But I believe that the overwhelming majority of those are really what they call in-between competition tests. So when they're out on the circuit, they'll get them at the hotel the day or before or after a track meet. That's still, IQ testing. That's announced testing. And the benefits, when these guys train in the October, November, December, January time frame, the benefits are certainly there in serving them throughout the competitive season over the spring and summer months. So, and you mentioned about, everyone knows here, at least in this community, that steroids work through cell volumization, and they make you tight. And, we learned this with Tim Montgomery. I mean, indoors, we looked at him, and he was very muscle-bound, and he didn't have good form with his arms, and he was pumped up, and we weren't using doing the proper taper, and he kind of looked like a duck with his arms. And he was, we initially took him from Tiny Tim at 148 up to, as Mark Lindsay called him when he saw him later, he looked like a NFL strong safety. His neck looked like Mike Tyson. He was 176. We brought him down to 168. But then for the indoor season, but by the time he went to the outdoor season, he went down to 160. So you really, you do run faster when you're off and you have a normal fluid balance, and you don't have that tightness and muscle-bound effect from using. So they're doing it during the off season in conjunction with intensive weight training, and then that strength base that they gain serves them, months and months later.
So explain how that would work. If you're coaching a world-class elite sprinter, hypothetically, of course, and you've got him in the off season, whatever he's taking. Now the circuit's coming, and he's going to be, competing every 2 weeks or a month or so. How do they go up and down? What's the sort of the process of being on, being off, ducking the test, getting on again? How would a whole kind of cycle like that work?
Well, in this day and age, professional sports is 24/7, 365. They really don't take much time off. So at the end of the season, maybe, and I know Usain Bolt may be the exception because he did a lot of appearances and so on, but typically it's a short period of time, no more than a month off. Then they go into the base training and they start lifting very heavy weights, and those that elect to do so are using it in conjunction with anabolic substances, and they build this strength base. And then they start and do the more, over distance type training. And of course, from the very beginning, when Balco was revealed, no one could understand in the anti-doping world why all these athletes were using EPO. And it's a recovery drug. It obviously helps a world-class sprinter because they train for 2.5, 3 hours a day on the track, then they go to the weight room. So if you can deliver more oxygen and nutrients and hormones to, throughout the body, then and accelerate the removal of all the metabolic waste byproducts, you get a deeper training load. And when these guys are doing squats or on days that they're doing starts, this really causes, serious micro tears and cuts and takes quite an amount of time to recover from. So it's the smarter guys in the old days. For example, Charlie Francis with Ben Johnson used to use a 10-day taper. Later, we realized that you needed even a little bit longer. We used a 14-day taper. The amount of starts that you do, a lot of the people would do more, but as an example with Ben Johnson, he did about 12 starts a week. We had Tim doing 15. So the intensity was up, but the volume was down because it's important. The rest and recovery and growth interval is just as important as training.
That's it is a science. It's much of a science as bodybuilding is, I guess, because if you overtrain in bodybuilding, same thing happens. You don't grow. So, but Victor, let's talk a little bit about your snack line of nutritional supplements. I know you just formulated recently a new product. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the basis of that product is similar to years back, a decade ago, when I developed ZMA. There was information in the literature, and I'd worked with hundreds of elite athletes, more than 250 NFL players, and I discovered what their depletions and deficiencies were and developed a product around that. The hypoxygen product is really the protocol that I used to provide nutritional support and the building blocks for using EPO. And I got introduced to something called intermittent hypoxic training. And to make a long story short, there are 4 different generations of hypoxic training. Live high, train high in the old days when they would live at altitude. Then with middle distance runners, the second generation was live high, and they would drive down to a lower elevation and train low. And then obviously the next one, which is probably more well known for used with cyclists, which is using the low oxygen tents, and then the intermittent hypoxic training, which I believe is much more effective, and specifically with explosive strength athletes, because when you sleep in these tents, it causes you to go into a catabolic state because it increases your heart rate. It's difficult during sleep, as you guys know, because you go into a catabolic state to begin with. But it's been shown to cause a reduction in muscle size and muscle strength. So I wouldn't recommend that any football player, baseball player, sprinter, anybody that is concerned with size ever use one of these hypoxic tents. But with the intermittent hypoxic training, the basic idea is that you, for the protocol we use, and it can be increased or decreased per each athlete, but it's 6 minutes of low oxygen and 4 minutes of ambient room oxygen. You go back and forth, somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half. This low oxygen signal in the kidney stimulates the production of red blood cells and, enhances energy efficiency at the mitochondrial level. Well, the next step, obviously, what's the end game? That is to increase hemoglobin in red blood cells to transport oxygen and nutrients to muscle tissue. One of the most vital nutrients is iron. So, and iron supplementation got a bad rap years ago based on some science that was produced in Europe, connecting it with an increased rate, doubling in heart attacks. But that later in research was proved that there was no connection whatsoever. So it's just simply based upon, if you're going to use EPO or if you're going to do hypoxic training, intense training in beginning causes an oxygen deficit. You've got to provide the specific nutrients that are needed to increase red blood cell synthesis and regulate, so you don't have a blood clot or something like that. But that's basically what hypoxygen is it's a product designed to provide the nutrients necessary to support an increase in red blood cell production.
Sounds like a great product. Also, you got that new ZMA product out, which I have to admit that I took the other night after John and I went out partying a little bit, and it helped my recovery. My serotonin levels felt really good after that.
So did you have a good dream or a nightmare?
I had good dreams all night.
Well, I think the bomb combo now is hypoxygen, arobatine, and Dave's Creolize.
Well, there you go.
Pre-workout, it's absolutely astounding.
John's always got his supplement stacks. Well, Vic, you're never without some interesting topics to talk about here, and you're going to have to keep us updated with this Tiger Woods thing. I think it's going to blow up before it calms down. What do you think?
Well, listen, before I hang up, I want to wish you guys a happy holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
You actually happen to be appearing on our Christmas special, so happy holidays to yourself and your family and your daughter there, and keep us updated in 2010.
Okay, great. I'd like to extend that to all of your members there at RX Muscle.
This is Heavy Muscle Radio, only on RxMuscle.com. ALR Industries. ALR Industries products are backed by 3 decades of experience in the science and lifelong dedication to bodybuilding from its founder, author L. Ray. In 2001, ALR Industries was created to give the hardcore bodybuilder the edge you need to build the perfect beast. Hyperdrive 3.0 is a synergistic blend of fat-burning herbs which yields the most potent legally available formula on the market today. Hyperdrive 3.0 will burn fat, control your appetite, improve your mood and focus, and give you an energy boost you've never experienced. Restore blocks estrogen, enhances libido, and optimizes free testosterone. You'll be stronger, recover faster, and build muscle like never before. Then fuel your workouts with the great tasting and energy enhancing Hyper Shot. Hyper Shot will boost your athletic performance to new levels, allowing you to train harder, improve your endurance, and get the most out of your time in the gym. Whining is not an option for those who refuse to accept mediocrity. Visit ALRindustries.com today. When you hit the gym, you set in motion a fundamental set of molecular activation signals and cellular growth mechanisms that deliver your desired gains in mass and strength. The magnitude of those processes, as well as how efficiently your muscles recover force production, can dramatically affect your net progress in a training cycle. Progenics protein supplements interact precisely and powerfully to amplify these pathways to produce enhanced growth responses of 100% or more compared to conventional whey protein sources. And they facilitate facilitate full recovery of force production in just 6 hours following the most grueling workout, allowing you to train harder, more frequently, for more dramatic gains. Experience the exclusive metabolic advantage available from Nature's Toolbox and Dr. Scott Connolly, renowned pioneer in applied dairy science and inventor of the original Metrex product. Go to progenixsrg.com and use the code NBR801 to get 10% off the purchase of any single Progenix product.
When the world crumbles around you, will you be ready to fight back? Brutal Alchemy Performance Nutrition's unique line of supplements will help you win the war in the gym. Ancient Strength is a unique blend of 3 creatine esters which will infuse you with the ancient strength needed for the battle at hand. Isolation is a pure whey protein isolate that provides 26 grams of protein in every 29-gram scoop. Attack NO2 is Brutal Alchemy's nitric oxide booster that will increase your pumps and performance. After your battle in the gym, it's time for Onslaught, Brutal Alchemy's comprehensive post-workout drink, providing everything you need to suffuse your muscles, joints, and body with the components to heal, grow stronger, and return to the fray. And when it's time to conquer in the bedroom, you'll need Forged Steel, Brutal Alchemy's male enhancement product. Lead the charge to BrutalAlchemy.com to obtain the essential elements of your brutal transformation. Brutal Alchemy. It's better to be a member of the Horde than to be destroyed by it. RxMuscle.com introduces the cheapest and fastest growing discount supplement store on the net. DiscountSupplements.com. DiscountSupplements.com not only has the best prices on all of the industry's most popular products, but they also offer next day delivery for just $7.99. You heard right. For a flat fee of just $7.99, most orders arrive the next day at a price that simply cannot be beat. As a matter of fact, their prices and service are so good, we made them the official store for RxMuscle.com. If you haven't visited DiscountSupplements.com, what are you waiting for? Visit DiscountSupplements.com today. Plasmatic is the next generation of nitric oxide amplifiers. Plasmatic contains the clinically proven glycocarn and other exclusive cofactors to give you a better pump, extreme vascularity, and aid in both performance and recovery. Plasmatic is the only next generation nitric oxide amplifier that contains no L-arginine. Plasmatic's proprietary blend is manufactured using a state-of-the-art liquid capsule technology and lipomatic delivery. See Plasmatic today at your local vitamin shop or call us now at 866-GET-EST1 or visit us on the web at estnutrition.com. Plasmatic. Results guaranteed. German American Technologies. Compete harder with GAT supplements. Need energy? Gotta lose the fat? Jet fuel is the answer. Want to build muscle? Use Testogen to ramp up testosterone and start adding the size. How about some muscle exploding pumps and an enhanced training experience? You gotta get your hands on some Jet Fuel. GAT's newest nitric oxide training supplement that's guaranteed to work the second you try it. Join the team. Visit German American Technologies website now at TeamGAT.com. That's TeamGAT.com. German American Technologies. Compete harder. TeamGAT.com.
Get in D-Mix. That's D-Mix, the world's first energy pump that combines the most essential nutritional elements for overall health with efficiency, cool, and easy to use. D-Mix is the most powerful and unique multivitamin antioxidant energy formula on the market. D-Mix is a nutritional wonder that lasts up to 4 days. D-Mix is available in 3 delicious flavors: coffee, mint, and punch. Each flavor is designed to be taken on its own or added to other beverages. D-Mix. Don't drink, just pump. Healthy energy.
Who are the Iron Sirens? The heroes: Susie Curry, Adela Garcia, Jenny Lynn, Crystal Richardson. Who are the Dark Divas? Gina Aliotti as Diva X, Jen Gates as Shade, Liza Kamstra as Black Lotus, Sonia Gonzalez as Raptress, and their story is told only in Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens is a one-of-a-kind limited edition comic book series and is the brainchild of J.M. Mannion. Order your copy of Iron Sirens today before they're gone. Visit IronSirensComics.com. That's IronSirensComics.com to get your copy of Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens. RxMuscle.com. Now you have a place to turn when you want the truth on bodybuilding, diet, and exercise, up-to-the-minute news, and more. Visit the RxMuscle.com forums featuring celebrity Q&As with IFBB professional athletes, top amateurs, and the brightest minds in the industry. Listen to our weekly radio shows, including Heavy Muscle Radio, Muscle Girls Inc., After Hours, and more. Contest coverage, videos, even our own social networking site, RX Muscle Place. Visit RxMuscle.com. Heavy Muscle Radio.
Hey, this is The Game, Triple H from the WWE. You're listening to Heavy Muscle Radio with John Romano and Dave Palumbo.
This hour of Heavy Muscle Radio is brought to you by Progenics. Visit ProgenicsSRG.com.
And our next guest is a competitive eating champion and world record holder in that sport. He has the distinction of having eaten a 30-pound cheeseburger at one point in time. Something people thought would kill him possibly. But we have him here today to share some of his eating secrets with us on our Christmas show here. I'd like to welcome Brad Sciullo.
Hi, how are you guys?
What's happening?
Brad, you have some pretty interesting talents there, and since this is a bodybuilding radio show, and we're kind of obsessed with eating enough food to get big, and I kind of have a little bit of a history, back in the 90s of doing some eating contests myself. I thought you'd be a good guest to get here on our little Christmas special. So why don't you just give our listeners a little bit of background on how you got into this, or how you discovered you had the talent to eat crazy amounts of food?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always been able to eat more than everybody around me. I'm not sure if that was necessarily a natural thing or just something I was driven to do, but I mean, ever since I was a kid, 4 years old, I was able to eat about 4 or 5 kids' meals when most kids were done with one. I was able to consume just mass amounts, always got extra this and that, extra large, and I was able to keep pretty fit, interesting enough. And once I was about in my teens, I just hanging out, and somebody mentioned to me that it was impossible to drink a gallon of milk. And it was interesting because I've been doing that on a daily basis for a couple of years.
How come everyone says that? I've heard that too. People say it's impossible to drink it. What's the logic or rationale behind you can't drink a gallon of milk in one sitting?
Well, what I've heard is it's because they say all the lactose in it will force you to vomit, that you have no choice in the matter. Well, meanwhile, not only was I doing a gallon of milk, I was eating a bag of Oreos with them. So, and I knew I could do it, and they said, well, you can't do it in an hour. And I knew, I said, I'll do it in one sitting. So, I sat down, and I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I began, a little more training. I would drink the milk faster and faster until I got it down to about a half hour, and then 20 minutes, then 10, then 5, then 1, and now I'm hitting around 22, 25 seconds.
You drink a whole gallon of milk in 22 seconds?
Yeah. My fastest was 20, but on record it's 22.
Wow.
Dave, with your lactose issues, I would like to see what happens if you
I could get the stuff down. I'd have to throw it up immediately, like right after the contest was over, because otherwise I'd be shitting my brains out the rest of the night. But, is there a special technique to get the milk down, or do you have to do it out of a glass, out of a carton?
Well, what I do is I take out the gallon and I go directly vertically with a bend in my throat so that I don't get an air bubble. And what I do is inside the gallon of milk is captured air as the milk goes down.
Right.
So I'll drink about 2 cups of it, and then with that excess space, I'll just start basically inhaling the milk down, because what will happen is inside the gallon of milk, this air vortex is created. You ever see when you put 2 pop bottles together and you twist them around, there's a tornado?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what I'm creating from the bottle to my stomach. There's a capture of air, and basically shoots the gallon of milk down my throat, which is great. But to be careful about it, things can happen. If I catch an air bubble, it all comes rushing back out. I have to squeeze the gallon with just the right amount of pressure to get it down. And as long as all goes well, I can do it in 20 to 25 second range. Sometimes I'll take a breath in between, but usually it's not a big deal.
It would seem easier wouldn't it be easier if you poured it out of a glass open thing, where it wouldn't have as much air?
I could do it faster if I had the correct container. I actually designed a container to try to do it in 10 minutes, and it had mixed results. It's just a matter of, I think I keep the fact that it's in the gallon because it's a gallon of milk. There's times where people are like, you can't do that. And I say, yes, I can. And they run down to the convenience store and they get a gallon of milk. So I try to stay on point with doing it out of a gallon container.
Is that a record?
Yes, it is. That's the world record.
Wow. What other records do you hold for eating or drinking?
I hold the cannoli record.
Wait. What's the cannoli record? We're all Italian here, so this is important.
It was 20 double cannolis in 6 minutes. About 10,000 calories worth of cannolis.
Oh, my God.
That cheese filling is so sticky. I mean, how do you get that down?
Well, I'll tell you, every food has its own technique. That's the point. I mean, I can do the fundamentals in jaw strength, capacity, and technique, but every food is different. With cannolis, I cut the life out of my mouth. I was bleeding. My gums were bleeding because I had to chew constantly and destroy all that shell so I could basically take a drink of milk and shoot it down. I had to basically drink pieces of cannoli shells.
You cut up your throat from that?
Wow.
Yeah. My gums will get cut up every once in a while. Usually not, but with that contest, they certainly did. That was the only way to do it.
What other records are there?
The burger record, tiramisu record.
What are these? Don't just tell me the name. What name?
Okay.
Give me the amounts and the times.
Well, the burger, as you know, was the big burger that got around there, and that's actually no humans ever sat down and consumed that many pounds of food. So that's a record in itself.
You ate a 30-pound cheeseburger, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, with the bun.
Tell me exactly what you ate in that meal, because that was insane. We talked about it on the radio. That's when I first became aware of you.
Right. The burger itself was, from what we can measure, about 17 to 18 pounds of beef. We had about 2 cups of mayonnaise, ketchup, and mustard.
The mayo was the worst part, I think.
The mayonnaise.
How'd you eat the mayo?
I would lose it on the mayo right there, man.
Well, I'll tell you, the mayonnaise was a lifesaver at the end. Now, the thing about my technique with this was I had to use the beef as a foundation in my stomach.
Right.
Because if I didn't, everything would start moving around. So I ate the beef first.
Okay.
Well, once the beef, as you can imagine, this beef wasn't, it got a little dry near the end. I mean, we're talking about 4 hours of time, about 5 hours, actually. And so I had to use the mayonnaise that was stuck to the bun about 3 hours into it to actually moisten the meat up so I could actually chew it.
My God. Wow.
So after that, you had the then, 4-hour-old onions, peppers, tomatoes, and lettuce to eat. And then the massive 5-pound bun,
5-pound bun?
Yes.
Now, have you ever seen that guy Man vs. Food on the Food Channel?
Yes. You know what? I'll tell you. I think I think it's a good show. Would I like to take that guy on for the sake of the sport? Absolutely.
Oh, you destroy him.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
I got to get back to the cheeseburger, John, because this we can't let this thing slip through. How much cheese did you eat?
As far as I know, there was about 3 pounds of cheese on that burger. I chose provolone. I like provolone better than American.
Did it get to a point where you just said, I don't think I can do this anymore? You were just so full and so nauseous?
Well, I'll tell you that's the key, and I think that you can level on this in that if for 1 second, if you were to tell yourself that you couldn't lift, you couldn't go another rep, you couldn't do that, you couldn't. You just won't.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you say for 1 second that it's not going to happen, that's it. And I'll tell you, every single bite of that burger, the thousands of bites I took, was a conscious effort.
But now,
that was the most exhausting part of the deal.
But now, with 30 pounds of protein and fat mostly in your stomach, a little carbs. I mean, did you take some fiber after that? How do you I don't want to sound gross, but the end result of the digestive process has got to be is that brutal, sort of problematic the next day? I mean, how do you deal with that?
I'll tell you, my digestive system has adapted. I give it a lot of credit because it has adapted. Now, there's, I would say, a fair amount of scar tissue involved in my digestive system through the constant training, but I believe that helps me, man. Beyond that, what happened afterwards was, I almost died. I mean, my temperature spiked to 104. I was dehydrated, could barely stand. You have to think, you get a big meal and it's funny, people say after Thanksgiving dinner they just want to go to sleep. They feel warm and all, filled up. Well, imagine that about 100-fold to where you feel like it's all you've got. Your body reacts by heating up. But when you have 20 pounds of hot food in you, it heats up. It's a nice insulator in there. So the next day, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, it took about 4 days for me to realize it was gone.
Wow. You don't ever throw up the stuff you eat? Do you ever do that afterwards?
Often, if I have to get on a plane, it is very difficult for me to hold it down. I'll say that. I'll tell you, though, with that burger, after I got up from the table, I was very excited. As sick as I was, when I got up, I raised my glass up. I drank about 9 Diet Cokes during the thing. Put my glass up, and I gave myself about 10 minutes before I just toppled. That was it. I laid out on the stairs, and I was about done for a good couple of hours.
Oh, you passed out? You actually physically fell asleep?
No, I couldn't sleep. Boy, I wish I could, but it was just, it was basically the flu. Very intense flu for a couple of hours, yeah. Sweating, shortness of breath. As you may know, your stomach, once it's done extending out, it begins to extend up.
Oh, really?
So, what was happening was it was pressing against my lungs, and it was hard to breathe.
Wow.
So I had to really concentrate on that, and that was conscious effort too, because even beyond eating it, to keep myself together so I didn't crack up was difficult as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the only thing I can equate this to, John, would be like after when I first started competing, I used to do these psycho eat cheat meals after the show was over, just to go crazy. After a while, I learned my lesson. After the first couple, I would eat so much food and nothing near what he ate that I literally I couldn't sleep, I couldn't move, I would just sit there I
think we've all done that after a diet.
Terrible. He's got to be experiencing this tenfold, like you said.
Right.
Now, how does one train to? I mean, there's got to be several factors involved. I mean, you have to obviously create some elasticity in your stomach to get it to stretch that much. So, what do you do? How do you train yourself to be able to consume such mass quantities of food and not die?
Right. Well, every morning when I wake up, I drink 2 gallons of water in usually less than a minute. That's for rapid extension of my stomach, for it to expand at any given moment almost instantly. I chew 40 pieces of bubble gum a day for about 20 minutes.
What does that do?
So that trains my jaws. My jaws are, I try to get them, if there'll come a point, if you don't train your jaws, 2 minutes into any contest, you're done. They lock up on you and you have no choice. Right. Just like any other muscle, they'll lock. That's it.
I would never have thought of that.
Bubble gum.
Interesting.
Right. It is the second, well, maybe first, depending on what kind of contest it is, that might be the most important factor in your event. So I do that, and then I'll eat. My basic diet consists of natural peanut butter, the Smucker's Natural. It's like peanut paste.
Right.
It's great. Have that, cottage cheese, organic chocolate bars, 70% cocoa, and organic milk. And various proteins fit in between. I eat that on a daily basis.
When you say organic milk,
much all I eat.
When you say organic milk, do you mean like raw milk?
Actually, it's just the baseline. The stuff you can get at any store.
Okay.
Just 2%, and that's what I eat. Now these days, I've been incorporating stuff like shredded wheat, bananas, stuff like that for a little more bulk. But, I put that down, and that's a daily basis thing. And I keep track of my blood sugar very, very carefully. And I go to 2 monthly checkups just to make sure everything's still cool. And as far as it goes, that's about it.
How many calories do you eat a day?
Well, I tell you, in a jar of peanut butter, there's a fair amount of calories. And the chocolate bars have about 300 in them. So, I don't know. I'm looking at about, by the end of the day, especially on a weekend when I'm going through a couple of meals, I'll probably put down close to 7,000 to tell you the truth. 7 to 10. Yeah.
Now, why the chocolate bars?
Well, I found out both the easy and the hard way that I really needed to keep some raw sugar in me. And there's an organic chocolate bar company called Green and Blacks that are just fantastic. And I started eating those, and I'll tell you, it's all. I mean, I feel like an addict when I'm eating those things because once I'm done with them, I feel so much better. I just chomp on them. So I eat about 3 of those a day. They're 100-gram bars, depending on what kind of flavor. You know, they got a toffee and an almond, but I try to keep with the 70%. That's less of the sugar, a little more of the cocoa bang in it, and it's been a lifesaver. I wish I'd found out about it sooner, because back in the day, I used to munch on potassium supplements because with the water and the training, my electrolytes and stuff were done. And I couldn't drink Gatorade because it would interrupt my stomach. So, I'm glad it came down to that. And these days, I'm taking about 1,000 milligrams of potassium a day.
Well, you got it down to a science, John.
Well, that's interesting because, this sport, if you want to call it that, originally started out as a sport for, fat men who just like to eat. Now,
right.
I see all the guys, you included, winning these things who are actually in good shape, if not downright skinny. Why is that?
I'll tell you, it's almost a common factor in that if you were to think about, I would say for every extra inch of fat, that's a couple ounces of food I'm not going to get down.
Really?
So we try to keep ourselves thin because that my stomach has so much more room to expand out because I don't have any excess belly fat on. I try to keep about a 34-inch waist with things, and I really watch my weight before competitions. I'll drop down, I'll go crash on it, and I'll drop down a couple of pounds just before.
Do you do any kind of abdominal exercises, sit-ups, or any kind of ab work?
I avoid all kind of ab work. I have no problem having a tummy because I feel that the abs are going to hold me back. In fact, I'll work my arms like crazy. I do a lot of cardio. I do a couple hundred jumping jacks a day. I work in the restaurant industry. I work a fair amount of hours. I'll do leg work.
Imagine that, working in a restaurant.
right.
Do you hide that on your resume that you're a competitive eater so that they don't worry about you wiping them out on the employee meal?
I'll tell you, back in the day, I used to not put it on there because, it's kind of like, if they see that, they're going to think, I don't want to, and, I didn't want to be hired necessarily as an anomaly. But I'll tell you, once I got around, once the burger thing hit and the other things that I've done, like the Colbert Report and stuff, I've had a lot of job offers in the restaurant industry. So it worked in my favor,
That's interesting.
Brad, who's this Furious Pete guy that you seem to have some kind of a war with? I was kind of looking on YouTube, and there's some guy named Furious Pete who you and him don't get along?
Right. We don't get along. It goes back. It comes back. I don't like him because he's a liar. He's way above himself. He's trying to do what I hope doesn't happen to the sport, and that he's really making us out to seem like we're gimmicks. And I'll tell you, I really feel like we are, in our own sense, athletes. Now, when you think athlete, the first thing you think of is some dude in a pair of Nikes jumping a hurdle.
Right.
That's my image. But I feel that we are, we work so hard. The best of us train every day to get to where we are. And meanwhile, he's trying to pump supplements on people to make them more hungry. Now, I know that every sport has its place for supplements, and I have only issues when they're applied to eating. I don't believe that there's a place in the competitive eating world for supplements. And
what kind of supplements is he trying to push?
Some type of like appetite boosters. He's talked about creatine. Talked about, he advocates the use of steroids in it, and I don't.
How are those going to make you eat better? I don't get it. Yeah, that's a little crazy.
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you from what I've seen, he's talked about that. He talks about like cleansers, colon cleansers, this and that. Now, granted, that's great, but I don't feel it has a place in the competitive eating world. And, he'll deny up and down about his use, but he won't do it in person. He's big on, there's forums. talks about how much, he doesn't like me and this and that, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, everything about that. But yeah, I don't like the guy. I think that he's a little too bold. I've openly challenged him on a number of occasions. He doesn't respond. I'll eat him under the table at any food he picks, and that's just the facts of the matter.
Well, now you just a minute ago you just talked about taking potassium supplements and and all that. So are you saying that you don't advocate that, whereas he's trying to push them, or what are you saying there?
I'm one of the fine line people in that I needed those potassium supplements to stay out of a coma.
Right.
He doesn't need the supplements like creatine and boosters and meal this and that to live. If I didn't take those potassium supplements, I could potentially die.
So do you think he's cheating by using this stuff? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. I think, like I told him, I did the video and flat out told him, I said, look, man, my appetite's natural, yours is not.
So he's like, so he's like the Barry Bonds of the food competitions.
That's something, I'm bringing it out. And, he likes to criticize that. He sets up these stupid events. He makes us look bad. He'll do these things that many people could do, but he'll, make a big deal out of it. He'll Facebook it and hold, contact the media. And he'll do, 2 quarter-pounders. It's like, ooh, wow, pal. Don't get too crazy on it.
Maybe you need a publicist. I think that, to get it out there and make some money might be a good idea. You seem to have much more talent than he does. Maybe you need to market yourself a little more heavily like him. Maybe we should organize, John, an eating contest between Brad and Furious Pete.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh yes, absolutely. I dream about that. Literally have dreams about that. I think about that guy when I'm trying to jump my training, when I can't do certain things. Well, 2 days ago, there'll be a video that's coming up actually. I did for the Fallen Heroes Fund. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Down here in Pittsburgh, in my hometown, we had a few cops were taken down on the line of duty, and one of them happened to have been my cousin.
Wow.
And I did a gingerbread village, an entire gingerbread village, and I ate it in 10 minutes and drank a gallon of milk.
With a gallon of milk.
You gotta have the milk.
Right. And it was about 4 to 5 pounds of gingerbread, depending on the debris you want to count. So it was nice. But I do those things because I raise money for charity. I didn't make a dime off it, and I'm proud of it. These are the things I feel the sport needs to do before I go out and be like, hey, now granted, and I don't sound like a hypocrite, I have hyped up a few of things that I'm going to do. I talk about on Colbert Report. I'm going to start doing some things that I feel are going to put the sport on another level. For instance, I've been training to eat a shark. I'm going to take on a live shark.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I read somewhere you said you wanted to kill the shark first with a spear gun, and then you wanted to eat the fucking thing raw.
Yes, I'm going to take out the shark. I'm going to be in a tank. My diver certification happens in January because I have to get that before I can swim with the sharks. I'm going to wear mesh suit, let them bite me, feel the pressure of that, feel what it's going to be like to get dragged around by a shark. I'm preparing for the worst in all this. I could lose a limb or I could lose my life. But this will be, I feel that the sport's to the point right now. People are tired of watching us sit at a table. These events, I don't know if you've ever seen it, they're tough to keep track of. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to realize until the end what anybody ate. Right. It's me and a shark. That's it.
Well, now, set that up for us, okay? You're in a tank, all right?
Yes.
You got a mesh suit, chainmail suit on, okay? Which is the sharks can't. A small shark can't bite through that. How big a shark are we talking about? How are you going to kill it? And then, are you going to eat it underwater? Are you just going to gnaw on it with your teeth? Are you going to slice it up with a knife? I mean, what's the exact MO of killing and eating a shark raw?
The shark will be at least my weight and height, rather length in its case. I will not take on a shark smaller than me.
So like a 5.5, 6 foot shark.
Right. Which weigh upwards of 200 pounds, which is about what I weigh. So, I want it to be even, if not bigger than me.
Okay.
Beyond that, the tank will be cylindrical, so that it's me and him constantly. I won't lose track of it as easy, but it'll be tall enough that it can get up and underneath me. It'll have be advantage either way. There's no way I can stop that in the water. Now, I'll have a knife that I'm hoping I can get. I'm actually talking to a knife company right now, talking about building a custom. It'll be called the Shark Shank. It'll be a very, a vented knife that can fly through the water a little easier. When I get a hold of the shark, and I will get a hold of the shark, I'll stab it in the gills, move the knife around to cut it. Once the blood starts going, I'll get it from the bottom, drag it up, grab on, throw it onto the land. Now, I don't know if you know, the shark's hearts beat for a while after they're dead. Drag it onto the land, tear into its underbelly. That's the softest part of the shark's the underbelly, so I can actually use my teeth to take that out. And I will eat out a section of the underbelly to its heart and bite into its heart, and that'll be the end.
Oh, okay, so you're not going to eat the entire shark, though?
No, I'm going to eat the shark. I'm going to eat the shark.
Okay, so you've stabbed the shark in the water. You've dragged it up out of the water. You've gnawed into its underbelly with your teeth, ripped out its heart, and bitten into that and stopped its heart. Now there's shark blood all over you. Now what are you gonna fillet it? You're gonna sashimi it? What are you gonna do?
I thought about it. I may actually try to get, I might, have a hibachi. I might make sushi. I can do all this. I'm trained to do it, so I might do that. I might eat it in all kinds of fun, creative ways, or I might tear it apart like an animal.
And you're going to eat a 200-pound shark completely?
Well, I won't. Well, granted, you have to understand, most of the shark's weight is within its inner body. I mean, I'm going to eat its heart. I'm going to eat maybe its lungs. I'm going to eat out the fillet layer above its ribs because that's the best meat. I'm going to gnaw on its fin. I'm going to suck out its eyes. I'm going to eat the jaw meat around it. I don't think I can finish it. In fact, I'm quite certain I can't finish a 200-pound shark.
No.
Can I put down about 10, 15 pounds of meat on it? Absolutely. Especially if it bites me, I'll have a nice adrenaline rush, and I'll just tear through it.
Well, sharks don't have lungs, so you're gonna. It's gill.
I sound like a genius. I got you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just trying to.
But that was a stupid thing. Yeah, that was stupid. But no, I'll eat some vital organs. It's going to be a male shark. So there'll be,
You're going to eat the male genitalia too?
It's internal.
To tell you the truth, I've never seen it, but
it's internal. Why? But I mean, why the guts? I mean, just eat the meat. I will let you get away with that. I mean, you don't have to go too nuts here.
Because, well, to tell you the truth, I've eaten a lot of animal organs.
Oh, you have?
And I'm a fan of them. Yeah, I've eaten live animals before, mostly fish. And I have no problem with that. I think that at the end of the day, the fact that I would eat parts of it, here and there, it's kind of respectful. I'm a big fan of harvesting every bit of an animal I can, especially in the kitchen industry. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little tasting on it, make sure I know what every bit of that shark tastes like. I feel I've earned it after killing it.
Yeah, I would think so. Let me ask you a question here. What does a successfully eating champion like yourself earn a year?
That and therein lies what keeps another. I earn most of my money, at least me, from either prize winnings or just cut-offs from advertising that I've done. Everything comes with a prize. What do I earn a year? Probably, honestly, on average, stands out the burger and the TV appearances and this and that. Probably about, I don't know, five grand maybe. So not that big.
It's not a lot of money then. No, not yet.
Just but it's I got to take advantage of the things that I've done. People pay me to make appearances. People pay me based on the advertising I've done. People pay me this. People pay me that. They make money there, which is great. You make more money there than you do at the table. I'll say that.
And you don't have to spend so much on food.
Exactly.
Now, one of the first eating contests I've ever seen is right here in our backyard down at Coney Island, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest every 4th of July. Have you ever entered that?
No, you know what? Early in the career when I was doing the structured events, I did a qualifier. I was beat by an eater named Humble Bob, who's a great eater. I've subsequently beat him every time I've seen him since then. But and I would love to do Nathan's. I feel that it's the heart of the sport. It brought us out. Hit the sport with Ichiro Kobayashi's help, mind you. But I'd love to do Nathan's. But, as it stands, I got, people ask me about that. Well, you do Nathan's, you did. To tell you the truth, I consider plenty of events on the circuit bigger than Nathan's. So,
really?
I'm not going to sit around training with hot dogs all day. I do from time to time do hot dog runs, and I do pretty well. I put down about 40.
Wow.
So, it's something if I would be there in a heartbeat if they asked me to.
So you got to get invited. You got to get invited to that. Is that the idea?
Well, there's qualifiers. You see, here's the thing. There's an organization. There are 3 organizations in the eating world. You have the World League, which is run by an eater named Dale Boone. You have EST, which is run by an eater named Arnie Chapman. And you have the IFOC, the biggest name in the game, which is run by the Shea Brothers. Mm-hmm. None of those organizations like me.
Oh, why not?
Because he wins.
There's that, and the fact that I'm a little too dangerous for them. They hate the fact that I talk about my training. They hate the fact that I stir trouble up. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, what will keep the sport around is if we compare ourselves to professional wrestling. I feel we need more characters in the game. Think about that. That's where we have to go.
Definitely, I agree with you. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I'm trying to take it, and they can come with me or they can face against me. Someday, they'll regret it.
Now, let me ask you a question about this Nathan's hot dog eating contest, because you ate a 30-pound cheeseburger. You drank a gallon of milk in 22 seconds. This guy, Joey Chestnut, ate 68 hot dogs, okay? In what, 5 minutes, something like that? What is it?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I can't see you not being able to do that. I mean, why wouldn't you want to, get yourself into that type of a situation where you get a lot more notoriety, I would think, right?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, it's technique. And what you have to understand about Joey Chestnut is Joey Chestnut, I don't believe, will ever be beaten in hot dogs.
Really?
By a fellow like myself. I'll tell you why. Because his driving force in the sport, what drove him to get into competitive eating was hot dogs. And every day somebody said to him, hey, you're going to beat the little Japanese guy. Hey, you're going to beat that Japanese guy. Hey, you're going to beat that Japanese guy. It burned him. And it burned him to the point where he brought himself to where he is. And I give him a lot of props for it. He's great at what he does. And hot dogs is his best. It may always be his best. But just the same, it's technique. Hot dogs are a very difficult food. It's hard you can't train with hot dogs with anything but hot dogs.
Really?
I can sit for 5 hours. I can do the gallon of milk. I took the record off of him. He did it in 41 seconds. But it's all technique.
Right.
It's what you really want to do.
Well, why are hot dogs so hard?
Well, the thing about the hot dogs is you'll start eating them, right? And now the worst part is the choking hazard. You got to be conscious. You have to be conscious the whole time, or you'll be done. And the fun thing is the way we eat, nobody would know we were choking to death till we hit the floor. So, it's the fact that it's a multi-layer food. The bun is an entirely different way of eating than the hot dog. The hot dog's very easy to eat, but then you put the bun on there, it gums it up. You can't swallow it as easy. You got to put it in the water, and then you put in too much water, then you have all this excess fluid.
Right.
Then the fun starts at 5 minutes into the event when the hot dogs start releasing all that grease, and you can't breathe because it's coming out of your nose.
Oh, shit.
It is terrible. Eating hot dogs is the worst.
It's a dirty food, too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. And then they, I don't know if anybody's caught it, but we don't get that food for hours. That food gets made and it sits in a box for a long time.
Oh, man, nasty.
Right.
Yeah, there was a guy on TV. I don't know who it was, but he trained. He was showing him training for a hot dog eating contest, and he said, "I make them taste as horrible as possible, because if there's any chance that they taste better at the contest, it's going to make it easier." Is there anything to that?
Absolutely. I'll tell you this, though. I have had some absolutely delicious food on the circuit. We're all lucky with the wings. Cannolis were, oh my God, I'll never forget. I ate so many more cannolis after I was done with that contest. I loved them. The burgers I eat, they are, but sometimes, it's the atmosphere. I mean, if the food's going to sit, we can't help that.
Right.
You can't automatically make 300 hot dogs. You know? I mean, it's like a catering event. What can you do?
Right.
True.
Now, I hear that you have an extensive, Incredible Hulk collection.
Oh boy, that's, you know what? Before the eating thing, that's what took up my time. I actually still in my possession have the one and only Lou Ferrigno face appliance. You might be interested in that. He, every time he was the Hulk, they put this latex face appliance, and I have the one and only still in existence.
Wow!
So I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that.
When did you become interested in Louis or the Hulk?
Oh. The Hulk, I've been collecting since I was 4. When I was 4 years old, my dad bought me my first Hulk comic book.
Wow.
And after that, I collected things from around the world. I had some of the more fun. I had a popsicle wrapper from the 1970s from Argentina.
Wow.
Was one of the more, offbeat things. I've bought things from other countries. I actually paid a worker at the factory where they made the Hulk cereal to get me right off the press Hulk box that wasn't folded yet. Various stuff. I am by far, I can't call myself the best Hulk fan because I sold some of the collection, but I would say the number one Hulk fan wouldn't do that. But it came down to time. I mean, I was on eBay every night going through 200 pages of items to try to find what I wanted. So, and it was a big deal. I'm a massive fan of the Incredible Hulk.
Well, we're really good friends with Louie. In fact, we've had him on the show a couple times. I've interviewed him a half a dozen times. Dave has actually played the Hulk on the Conan O'Brien show at least 10 times or more. He's a really good friend of ours. Maybe we can arrange a meeting.
Yeah, well, I'd love it. I mean, I'll tell you, the thing about Lou Ferrigno is when I was little, my mom would put me down for a nap to the Incredible Hulk. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel at that time, and it was in syndication. So, I read his biography and did a report on for class. I mean, he's the closest thing I have. And I also have a shirt of his with actually has some of the green makeup smudged off one of the ripped shirts.
Where'd you get that?
I got it from the original owner of the world's largest Hulk collection. I got those two items. Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's very interesting. It's applicable against us bodybuilders since that's what we're about. But what's the next eating contest that you're going to be engaging in? Is it coming up soon or next year? What's up?
Well, right now is off season for all of us. Very few events take place during the winter. For myself, I really have to concentrate on the shark thing. I have to get, I got to get in the pool, got to learn how to scuba dive, got to learn how to work the old aqua lung, and then I'm going to an aquarium, and I'm going to swim with some sharks, get them to bite me, get them to, drag me around a little bit. I'm going to do a YouTube video. They'll have everything from the gallon of milk. I'm going to break some previous records of mine. I'm going to blow some fire, do some stuff like that. Other than that, the contests are kind of sparse for the next few months, and then the circuit will start up around March. And I'm hoping to do the Pierogi contest here in Pittsburgh and take that title. And other than that, I'm hoping to actually do a few events here in my hometown. I'd like to do a wing circuit with the bars. Other than that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we want to arrange. I think I mentioned to you a little contest in our studio here.
Yes, I'd love to.
Maybe we can. I was thinking about getting someone else who lives around here. But maybe we can. Where does this Furious Pete guy live?
Furious Pete is from Canada, but he does travel to the States from time to time.
Maybe we can get him to come down. I'd like to organize. What would be your ideal eating contest? What would you like to compete against him for? Like what foods?
How about pizza? Pizza's got to be tough.
Originally, I had said protein bars are like protein cookies, just to make it applicable. Maybe we can get a sponsor, John, to put up the money.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, that would be a heck of a contest. I would prefer the protein cookies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because a power bar, man, we'll be lucky. Even us would be lucky to get down 10 in 10 minutes.
Right,
so,
right.
They're not water soluble. We can't do anything about how difficult they are.
That's true.
But yeah, I'll take on him and a group of his friends, man. I want him so bad.
All right, I'll work on arranging that.
We're going to arrange that.
We'll arrange it. I'm good at doing stuff like that.
Do you have a website, where people can contact you, or is there guest appearances, eating contests, whatever that people want to?
Sure, yeah. I mean, right now, I have a Facebook and I have a MySpace, the usual. I don't have a .com yet. I don't feel that I warrants the investment in that yet. It will soon. Other than that, yeah, you can get a hold of me through my MySpace. Luckily, I'm the only Brad Sciullo on MySpace and Facebook, so it's not that difficult to get in these days. I have just on YouTube, the Colbert Report stuff, all that. You can take a look through that and get a hold of me.
Okay.
And yeah.
Brad, it was kind of a pleasure to have you. We like to do interesting things like this, and you're an interesting guy. And I wouldn't hesitate for a second to say you're definitely an athlete, as much as an athlete as bodybuilders are, because you do train. And we're going to try to arrange this eating contest between you and Furious Pete. So we're going to be in touch with you. Don't you worry about that.
Oh yes, absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, you guys have a good set of holidays.
This is Heavy Muscle Radio, only on RxMuscle.com. ALR Industries. ALR Industries products are backed by 3 decades of experience in the science and lifelong dedication to bodybuilding from its founder, author L. Ray. In 2001, ALR Industries was created to give the hardcore bodybuilder the edge you need to build the perfect beast. Hyperdrive 3.0 is a synergistic blend of fat-burning herbs which yields the most potent legally available formula on the market today. Hyperdrive 3.0 will burn fat, control your appetite, improve your mood and focus, and give you an energy boost you've never experienced. Restore blocks estrogen, enhances libido, and optimizes free testosterone. You'll be stronger, recover faster, and build muscle like never before. Then fuel your workouts with the great tasting and energy enhancing Hypershot. Hypershot will boost your athletic performance to new levels, allowing you to train harder, improve your endurance, and get the most out of your time in the gym. Whining is not an option for those who refuse to accept mediocrity. Visit ALRindustries.com today. When you hit the gym, you set in motion a fundamental set of molecular activation signals and cellular growth mechanisms that deliver your desired gains in mass and strength. The magnitude of those processes, as well as how efficiently your muscles recover force production, can dramatically affect your net progress in a training cycle. Progenics protein supplements interact precisely and powerfully to amplify these pathways to produce enhanced growth responses of 100% or more compared to conventional whey protein sources. And they facilitate full recovery of force production in just 6 hours following the most grueling workout, allowing you to train harder, more frequently, for more dramatic gains. Experience the exclusive metabolic advantage available from Nature's Toolbox and Dr. Scott Connolly, renowned pioneer in applied dairy science and inventor of the original Metrex product. Go to ProgenicsSRG.com and use the code NBR801 to get 10% off the purchase of any single Progenics product.
When the world crumbles around you, will you be ready to fight back? Brutal Alchemy Performance Nutrition's unique line of supplements will help you win the war in the gym. Ancient Strength is a unique blend of 3 creatine esters which will infuse you with the ancient strength needed for the battle at hand. Isolation is a pure whey protein isolate that provides 26 grams of protein in every 29-gram scoop. Attack NO2 is Brutal Alchemy's nitric oxide booster that will increase your pumps and performance. After your battle in the gym, it's time for Onslaught, Brutal Alchemy's comprehensive post-workout drink, providing everything you need to suffuse your muscles, joints, and body with the components to heal, grow stronger, and return to the fray. And when it's time to conquer in the bedroom, you'll need Forged Steel, Brutal Alchemy's male enhancement product. Lead the charge to BrutalAlchemy.com to obtain the essential elements of your brutal transformation. Brutal Alchemy. It's better to be a member of the Horde than to be destroyed by it. RxMuscle.com introduces the cheapest and fastest growing discount supplement store on the net. DiscountSupplements.com. DiscountSupplements.com not only has the best prices on all of the industry's most popular products, but they also offer next day delivery for just $7.99. You heard right. For a flat fee of just $7.99, most orders arrive the next day at a price that simply cannot be beat. As a matter of fact, their prices and service are so good, we made them the official store for RxMuscle.com. If you haven't visited DiscountSupplements.com, what are you waiting for? Visit DiscountSupplements.com today. Plasmatic is the next generation of nitric oxide amplifiers. Plasmatic contains the clinically proven glycocarn and other exclusive cofactors to give you a better pump, extreme vascularity, and aid in both performance and recovery. Plasmatic is the only next generation nitric oxide amplifier that contains no L-arginine. Plasmatic's proprietary blend is manufactured using a state-of-the-art liquid capsule technology and lipomatic delivery. See Plasmatic today at your local vitamin shop or call us now at 866-GET-EST1 or visit us on the web at ESTnutrition.com. Plasmatic. Results guaranteed. German American Technologies. Compete harder with GAT supplements. Need energy? Gotta lose the fat? Jet fuel is the answer. Want to build muscle? Use Testogen to ramp up testosterone and start adding the size. How about some muscle exploding pumps and an enhanced training experience? You gotta get your hands on some Jet Fuse. GAT's newest nitric oxide training supplement that's guaranteed to work the second you try it. Join the team. Visit German American Technologies website now at TeamGAT.com. That's TeamGAT.com. German American Technologies. Compete harder. TeamGAT.com.
Get in D-Mix. That's D-Mix, the world's first energy pump that combines the most essential nutritional elements for overall health with efficiency, cool, and easy to use. D-Mix is the most powerful and unique multivitamin antioxidant energy formula on the market. D-Mix is a nutritional wonder that lasts up to 4 days. D-Mix is available in 3 delicious flavors: coffee, mint, and punch. Each flavor is designed to be taken on its own or added to other beverages. D-Mix. Don't drink, just pump. Healthy energy.
Who are the Iron Sirens? The Heroes. Susie Curry, Adela Garcia, Jenny Lynn, Crystal Richardson. Who are the Dark Divas? Gina Aliotti as Diva X, Jen Gates as Shade, Liza Kamstra as Black Lotus, Sonia Gonzalez as Raptress, and their story is told only in Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens is a one-of-a-kind limited edition comic book series and is the brainchild of J.M. Mannion. Order your copy of Iron Sirens today before they're gone. Visit IronSirensComics.com. That's IronSirensComics.com to get your copy of Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens. Iron Sirens. RxMuscle.com. Now you have a place to turn when you want the truth on bodybuilding, diet, and exercise, up-to-the-minute news, and more. Visit the RxMuscle.com forums featuring celebrity Q&As with IFBB professional athletes, top amateurs, and the brightest minds in the industry. Listen to our weekly radio shows, including Heavy Muscle Radio, Muscle Girls Inc., After Hours, and more. Contest coverage, videos, even our own social networking site, RX Muscle Place. Visit RxMuscle.com. Heavy Muscle Radio.
This is Kevin Lavroni, and you're listening to Heavy Muscle Radio, baby, with Dave Palumbo and John Romano.
This hour of Heavy Muscle Radio is brought to you by Progenics. Visit ProgenicsSRG.com.
Our next guest is a bodybuilder of distinction, old school style. In his first show, this Long Island bodybuilder almost toppled the career of 8-time Mr. Olympia Lee Haney. Although he placed second in the medium class at the 1979 Teen America, Lee Haney was quoted after marveling at his size and said, "If this guy had won the show, I would have never competed in bodybuilding again." So please join me in welcoming former Mr. Long Island and Mr. New York State, Andy Lopedote. Andy?
How you doing, John? How you doing? And Dave, how's it going?
How are you?
Okay, great, thanks.
Andy, that must be an incredible distinction. I don't think a lot of our viewers not only know who you are, but know how close you came to ending the career of who became ultimately 8-time Mr. Olympia. You almost stopped him in his tracks. If you had beaten him at the Teen America, Haney would have pursued football
absolutely
instead of bodybuilding.
That actually, hearing that, I mean, tell you the truth, I mean, when I hear something like that, I mean, it's an impact. It really is. I mean, to think about someone as the greatest, one of the greatest in the sport, to remember me, to actually say something like that now, years later, it feels great to know that I made that kind of impact. I mean, definitely.
Well, Andy, take us back. Take us back in time to that show and tell us about that meeting with Haney.
Well, let's see. It was November 79th. September 79th. I remember we were all pretty close in that show. Everybody was sitting there together during the morning and then the afternoon. And Lee Haney was more or less to himself. You know, he sort of stayed to himself on the whole time. And I mean, all of us we were talking. You know, he looked like, actually at the time, none of us thought he was a teenager. I mean, to tell you the truth, we didn't believe he was a teenager because he didn't look like a teenager. I mean, he already had, he just looked older. And, you know, is there a way he could have gotten into this? I mean, he looked great. He was in great shape. I mean, he looked great. But we had best body parts back then. They had height classes. They had the best body parts. And what happened was we were all sitting there saying, I wonder who's going to win this show. You know, and they looked at me because at the time I was about 235 pounds. I mean, I was
as a teenager.
Absolutely, 235 pounds. About 6% body fat on me. I trained for that show 2 weeks before the show, Steve Mahalik said to me, let's go into that show.
No, that was your first show, too, ever.
The first show. My first show ever.
Your Teen America was your first show?
Teenage America was my first show. I did not know how to pose. I only practiced for 2 weeks. So to actually get up there on stage, and I was sort of like a big block of muscle. I mean, you know, defined and everything, but I didn't know how I wasn't graceful in my movements because I only had 2 weeks to practice. You know, meanwhile, Haney looked like he was, he was nice and smooth, that beautiful posing routine. I mean, which is a lot, you know, it brings out the muscle. I mean, actually, when you can pose well, you can hide what you don't have and show what you do have.
Right.
But, I went up there and I just did the basic poses. I won every body part except for one, I believe, because we had body parts. We had best legs, we had most muscular arms, back, and I went out there for each of them. So, and pretty much I think, except for I won most of all the body parts. So we sat down there and said, who's going to win this show? You know, they looked at me and they said, yeah, right, we know. But no one even thought about Haney. At the time. I mean, he sat there on his own, on the corner, you know, and I mentioned, but they said, nah, we know. But it didn't turn out that way. I mean, he did wind up winning the overall show. We went down to the pose down, and, I look at the show every once in a while. I have it on tape. I have, because at the time my father went there, and he took an 8mm, because back then that's what we used.
You gotta get that thing on YouTube, man.
I have that 8mm on. I have that 8mm. I put it onto a cassette years ago, and I have that with me here as we speak in my closet. And every once in a while I looked at it, and it really shows. I mean, it's amazing because you see the two of us sitting right next to each other posing, and there was a pose down between all three different heights. And it was an amazing feeling. I mean, when they called it out, I mean, he wound up being that he won the show. There was someone there who won Best Poser. I forget. I didn't remember. Frank. I don't remember his name. But I mean, they were all good posing. The poses.
You got to get us that tape so we can turn it into a DVD and put it on get it online.
I should do that. I'd like to do that. Put it on DVD. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it's so easy to have it converted. I mean, seriously. And then we can do something with it and put it up so people can see it.
You would see because it doesn't lie. It shows it actually shows every one of us and how we look. I mean,
so would you say you were the biggest, hardest one there, and Haney just had better presentation?
I have to say, and I'm not this way usually, but yeah, I was the biggest one in that show, the most muscular one in that show. I had won every body part except I forget which one didn't I? I mean, if I remember, I was out there for every one of them. I know I won 4 out of the 5 that they did, but anyway, I was out there for every body part, but the overall, my posing is what really killed me. Because on the pose down, he was doing these nice, graceful, going down on one knee, turning to the side, and I just stood there and did the basic poses because, like I said, 2 weeks. But I only trained 2 weeks for that show. Even so, before that, my training was heavy and was strong. Because that's how I always trained him. Mahalik and I always went crazy in the gym back then. But just 2 weeks prior, he had this thing in his mind, which he always does, last minute. Let's go into this show.
But why wouldn't Mahalik train you for like 8 or 10 weeks for that show? Why did he decide the last minute? I mean, he must have looked good 2 months out from the show.
Because he is, he is a spontaneous. This man, I thought I was spontaneous. He just come up with something at the last minute, and that was it. No, it was 2 weeks. I remember Bob Gruskin took me down on that second week before, and we went to Jones Beach. We did 112 sets for legs.
On the beach?
112 sets for legs. He took me to Jones Beach, and we did a pose. He took pictures, right. And I could barely stand. I mean, after 100.
Mahalik had worked you for 100 sets of legs, and then Grushkin took pictures of you. I see. Okay.
It was. That's how we used to work out, though. We used to spend just 2 hours alone on one body part, 2.5 hours,
right.
And then come back and then do it again, the next body part later on.
Oh my God!
The whole day was in the gym. He was kind of crazy. But the show, like I said, the show itself, everyone thought I was going to win the show. I mean, even some of the photographers there. It was just, it was an amazing contest. I mean, it was my first. Had I had a little more time to get my posing down, it would have changed a lot of everything. It would have changed history. Lee Haney wouldn't have continued, and I would have continued maybe going on further than I did.
Let's talk a little bit about Mahalik and who helped you. Was Bob just a photographer for you, or did he do your diet too, or was it all Mahalik? Who was your guider back then?
Well, I would say back then Mahalik was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was sometimes a problem because Steve did a lot of he overdid a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays we look at this stuff down to you don't have to do half the stuff that you did back then. My body. Go ahead.
How'd you meet Mahalik?
I was about 17 years old, and a friend of mine went to the gym there, and he went over to Steve, and he said to Steve, I got a friend who's 17 years old who has 20-inch arms, and he trains in his basement, he trains in his house, and Mahalik said to him, yeah, right. He goes, you bring him over here, show me this guy, and I'll give him a free membership. I went down with my friend. I remember walking into the old gym there in Mahalik's before he moved over, because that was years ago, before he opened up in next door. Walked into the gym. He took a look at me. He came over to me, and he gave me a membership.
Really?
And from there, we actually started training together. Maybe not right away. Maybe after the first couple of months in there. The Defenders was still there at the time, so the three of us actually started training together. John Defenders and Mahalik and myself. But, yeah, so he gave me a membership from that because he looked at me. He asked me to give him, a double bicep. Just wanted to see it. And I guess he was just amazed. Amazed how a kid, 17, who had no prior, no training other than himself, doing it all on my own. My father always was, he's the one who got me started. But, in my gym, in my house, in the gym in my house. And then, you're talking about weights that aren't even, what these people use nowadays. I mean, I just had a bunch of free weights and no machines.
Well, pure genetics.
Yeah. Now we had John Defendus on the show last week, and he of course a lot of you Long Island guys talk about Mahalik and the gym and all the crazy things over there. But what was the dynamics there? Did you train with Defendus first and then Mahalik, or did the three of you train together? How did all that go on?
Well, it was such a long time ago. I think Mahalik and I think Defenders and I actually worked out together first. It's so far back, but it was close because he trained with Steve. I think Defenders and I did something. I met Defenders also. We became friends in there, and I think we actually worked out. Now it was back many years, and it's kind of tough because to really remember which came first. But then we all three of us started to train. But not shortly after that, Defenders left. And he went to, I believe it was California, and then he went to Arizona.
Right.
He moved to Arizona. Then he went to Florida. He came back in the middle somewhere. But Defenders and I did train, the two of us. But all three of us put some time together also for a while. And then just Steve and I trained. And then... he came back, Defenders came back again, and, so, it went sort of back and forth a little bit, but then John moved.
What was the craziest thing Mahalik ever had you do that just was, absolutely insane?
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again?
What was the craziest thing that Mahalik ever made you do in the gym that you could remember?
The craziest thing he ever...
Something that you were like, this guy's just out of his freaking mind,
The craziest thing he ever had me do in the gym...
or out of the gym. Out of the gym is fine too, yeah.
Well, I got to tell you one thing he had me do. Okay, I actually drove up to the gym one morning. Now this goes to show you his ways of thinking. I actually drove up to the gym one morning. It was at 3 a.m. Because I used to open up the gym there. I used to work out. He would come there.
Oh, okay.
He shortly got there right after me. I went to the parking lot, drove my car over an open manhole. It was an open manhole. The cover was off.
Right.
I drove my car over it. I get out of the car. I actually almost stepped into it, but I didn't. He comes driving up right after that. He told me to lay down on the ground. Right. He could have called the ambulance. Say that I fell into the hole. He went and he grabbed me, And he dragged me out of there, pulled me out by my arms. I was holding on to him. I was like, and there I am, lying on the floor. And I couldn't move. No, you can't move. Your neck, your back, your numbness right now, pain. Well, sure enough, I did it.
Well, you were 17. You would have listened to anything he told you to do, probably.
Oh God! Everybody did what this guy said because he was like, I don't know. I guess I was a young kid.
Right.
So, you look up to someone like that. Here he was, Mr. America. Here he was. I mean, he just had a way about him. I mean, he really did a way about him. So I did. The ambulance came. They kept me in the friggin' hospital for I think I was almost 2 days, a day and a half.
What?
I mean, I was there for
Oh
hours.
my God!
Almost overnight. I was there for hours on end. They were taking all these tests and doing all this stuff.
Right? Are you serious? Oh my God!
So then, I got out of the hospital. I had, they gave me crutches.
You weren't hurt, right?
No.
Okay.
No, they gave me crutches. He gave me a cane. I still have the cane. It's right here in my closet.
Are you serious?
I still have the cane. It's right in my closet here.
Oh
I've never gotten rid of it because it was such an amazing thing. I kept it. They gave me a cane, and for months I had to walk around with like my back was something.
Did you get any money for it?
No, it never worked out. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong during it because they had an attorney and they did all this and I think I don't know what went. I think he got a little frantic. I think he started to think that maybe I'm going to run off with the money and I've red-handed his share.
Are you serious? Holy shit. So nothing ever came of the whole thing?
So nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened.
So you spent 2 nights in the hospital and walked around for 4 months with a cane for nothing.
I'm walking around with a guy. I got his cane. That's about it.
That's stark.
And a good story.
Was that the end of your bodybuilding career after that?
Wait, what's that?
I said, was that the end of your bodybuilding career after that?
Well, no, what happened was I wasn't able to compete for that time. I mean, I trained. I went there early in the morning, and we were like sneaking in. People with cameras. I mean, it was pathetic. I was like, I had to get there like when the bar next door was closing. I had to like sneak in through the doors. I mean, it was like, he closed all the closed whatever, make sure everything was so no one could see in.
He must have thought you were going to be his retirement right there.
Oh God, it was hilarious. I mean, he's done a lot. I mean, he's dressed me up as. I mean, it was my choice. I mean, he used to have a gym show every year.
Right.
Mr. America's gym show, and he came up with this bright idea for me to take another one of the training partners he had was Gus, a Greek guy, really great shape. He was in good shape. He won Mr. Greek, and he trained with him for years. A big guy, and his wife. So he had me take her bra, her bathing suit top,
right,
and gave me a wig, and wanted me to go on stage as a guest poser.
As a female bodybuilder?
As a woman.
Oh, no way. You did it?
Yeah. So what happened was I agreed with that because I mean that was fun. I like doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I got the wig, I got the top. I was about 230 odd pounds. I was ripped. I was in great shape, and so he's in the middle of this concert during the intermission, and he introduces Andrea from California. He introduced me as being full of steroids. And she is on steroids for the past. So I go walking out of there. Everybody in the place. I mean, the place almost fell down. I mean, it was half the people knew me, and they knew that was me. Yeah. And the other half, who the heck is this? I was like, and it was. So I went through a routine. I look great. I don't have those pictures. I wish I would have kept.
Oh my God, those would be classics.
He has them.
I've
seen them afterwards, but I think he has them.
We got to get him.
But he used to come up with some things. Everybody in that place. I mean, Mahalik, I knew the other side of him. He was really actually as mean and horrible as people may think he was. He was actually a kind-hearted, caring person, believe it or not. He would only let certain people know that. Only certain people, everybody was afraid of him. I mean, he was always there. I mean, he actually was always very good to me. But people were petrified in that gym. We used to rope off the place when we worked out because we used to do giant sets.
Right.
And nobody would step. If anyone ever even looked at him, He would throw the weights down. I mean, literally, take the weights and throw them. And go over to that person, and he would grab these people. I mean, nobody ever said a word. It was like, they were like...
You're petrified of him.
Yeah, it was crazy in that sense. But he was a good person. He just, I don't know, I think he was, I don't know, personality split there somewhere. I don't know, but definitely knew his stuff. But going back to the advice and the training, definitely overdid it, because my body metabolism was very fast, and I really didn't need to do a lot of that stuff to get into shape I had to. So for me to go down to 0 carbs and to not drink water before a show would drain me, and that happened many times. I was in really good shape to compete, and then 2 weeks before he would change something with my diet, and I would be sucked in.
Wow.
So, and I learned as time went on not to do that.
Right.
It was just, on my own afterwards, because, that just wasn't the right way to go. But, he was some character.
Tell us about the famous the sign-in pen.
Oh gosh, there was a 10cc syringe with a string on it attached to a clipboard, and that's what everybody who walked into that place signed in with, regardless who you were. A 10cc syringe
with a pen stuck in the end.
What's that?
Like with a pen sticking out of the needle?
Yeah. He had the syringe and he had a pen in there. And that's what we used to sign in. A 10cc is a big friggin' syringe.
I've heard that before. Yeah,
so he had that as a sign-in in the sign-in sheet. But then again, he used to have UPS come over and ask for Dr. Mahalik.
No, are you serious?
Yeah. Dr. Mahalik. They used to walk in with boxes from UPS, and he would walk in. Everybody would be gathered around the sign-in table,
right,
the front desk, waiting, because they all have their orders in.
Oh, he would have it delivered right to the gym?
Excuse me?
He'd have the steroids delivered right to the gym?
Right to the gym, right under his name, Dr. Steve Mahalik. I mean, now what did that say about somebody? Dr. Steve, I mean, how much guts does he have? Dr. Steve Mahalik.
No one cared back then. That was the difference, I think,
Oh, yeah, it was, and they used to bring a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was different.
I mean, and then he would leave, the guy would leave, the UPS driver, and he would go in the back, open it up, and everyone would wait on their turn and come in and get what they ordered.
Where would he order it from?
Excuse me?
Where would he order all this stuff from?
I don't know.
Direct from the drug company? Was it coming right from the drug companies?
I don't remember where he ordered it from. I did know at one time. I don't remember exactly where. It was a lot easier back then.
But was it legitimate stuff? I mean, it wasn't like coming from some guy, was it?
No. It was all real.
Coming right from the drug companies, right?
Legitimate stuff, yeah. Oh, yeah. He used to get it right from the company.
Wow.
I mean, you could do it then. It was different.
Right.
You're talking about 1980, 1979, 80, 81, 82, It was a big time different. It was different then.
Before Ben Johnson.
Now, what happened with you? What happened with your competitive career? Because you didn't compete that many times, did you?
Well, what happened was I think as much as Mahalik helped me, that's one reason why I think I don't know if defenders would actually have to say the same thing. John has done a lot though in his career, but I mean, one thing I could say is as much as he has helped me, he's also rubbed off on me too. And Mahalik had a reputation of, that's why they called him the Phantom.
Right.
Last minute not being there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won his show back in the day, but when he tried to continuously compete during that era, I think he more or less, I think he did too much. And what he was doing to me, too, was a little bit too much for what my body needed. So many times I would train for a show and actually be in phenomenal shape about a month before. And then all of a sudden, three weeks before, then all of a sudden, he would change. I mean, who ever heard of not drinking water? I mean, my mouth would bleed.
How long would you not drink water for?
It was like the last couple of weeks. You could only take a sip.
What?
You only take a sip.
Sips of water for the last few weeks?
A couple, 2 weeks maybe. The last 2 weeks, week and a half. You only take a sip of water, and here I am training just as hard. You need the water. You must need the water. I mean, I didn't realize that back then. But, I had an incident, too, that happened that really threw me off for a while, and had nothing to do with my Halleck. I had to do my own personal life. My father, at the young age, was killed in a really horrible accident, and it really threw me off. Actually, the story behind that is a little more amazing. In teenage America, okay, now this is where it stands. In teenage America, which was September of '79, I was supposed to go to that show with my father. I mean, with Mahalik. I was supposed to go there with Mahalik, but Mahalik couldn't go because of his anniversary. So he told me last minute that he couldn't go. So I asked my father to go with me.
Meanwhile, you had no idea what you were doing there, and he didn't come.
Wait, I'm sorry, say it again?
You had no idea what you were doing yet. He decided to do the show 2 weeks before, and then he canceled on you?
Well, I guess that's typical of what usually would happen. But he had his anniversary. He should have known that way in advance. Right. But he said he couldn't go. So, but that was okay. It worked out all for the best because, like I'm saying, I asked my father to go with me, and he's the one who took the video that I have. Right. And my father, September, October, 2 months later, was killed in an accident.
Oh wow!
So he actually got to see me and was very proud of that contest. Now, what happened was after that, it took me, I would say, probably a year. To even, I had to struggle after that. It was really a tough time for me. So it threw me off on my bodybuilding career. Right. Some people might have said maybe it could have helped. It would have made me want to do it for him. But in the sense of how it happened and what happened, I was only 19 years old. It just threw me off. And, Mahalik actually had to go to where I worked a couple of times to try to get me back into the gym.
Oh, it was that bad, yeah? You were depressed?
Because I was really kind of not really into doing anything else, and I did work a little bit, but it was kind of a rough time. And he helped me. He really helped me through a tough time back then. And I did get back into the training again, but it took a while. It actually took a while. And like I said, I went into the few shows that I have gone into. I think I could have even have looked better, much better. Because if I went back 3 weeks from each show, even the one that I took first in, I went back 3 weeks prior to it, I was about 10 pounds heavier of muscle.
Wow.
And just as cut, maybe even heavier. 10, 15 pounds. I mean, so there was something off with the way the diet was given and the way you did things.
Right.
And I sort of learned as I got a little bit older and did on my own eventually, but at that point, I took a whole different career as a chiropractor, and I went to school and went to California. And, I still trained, and I even competed in a couple of small shows out there. But, being with a family and then with going to school and having a whole different career change, it just was kind of tough to maintain what is needed to actually go into, to continue with bodybuilding. I mean, it takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of, it's not just people may think you go in the gym and that's it, but and my diet was always strict. But it's also standing, it's also, there's a lot of stuff, posing.
Sure.
And it takes a lot of time, and
are you still a chiropractor right now?
Excuse me?
Are you a chiropractor still currently?
Oh, for 20 years.
Oh, okay. Where do you practice out of?
In Plainview, right on Old Country Road, Plainview, near the Zewanga Facility.
I know where that is.
Right over, right there. So.
Isn't there another chiropractor in that building too, I think?
Well, Dr. Serlin was actually the original owner of that place, and I bought the practice from him.
Oh, I went to him about 8 years ago when I had a car accident.
Really?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah, I think I remember hearing that. We spoke about it.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Back a while ago.
Yeah, that's funny. So he sold out, huh? He's not in there anymore, huh?
Well, he comes in. He's still there a little bit. He has a few family and a couple of friends that he treats. Not many. And other than that, really, he's not in there that much. So he may pop in twice a week for maybe a half hour or an hour one day, and then he leaves. But I mean, it's not his business anymore. Actually, not at all. But yet he still has a few people that we work out something that he's still in there and does some stuff.
Got it.
But so it's been a long time. I mean, for me, as far as a chiropractor, but as far as that place, it's only been the past 2.5 years.
Where were you before then?
Where did I go to school?
No, where were you working before then?
I went to school. I had a practice initially in Wilson Park.
Okay.
I had a practice there for quite a few years. I went through a divorce, and my practice was kind of destroyed from that.
Gotcha. We know all about that, John.
Yeah, that's it. It was all thrown. I mean, I had a good practice. It was there for 10 years. I had that place. So then I went and I worked in a medical office, a couple of different medical offices in Queens, Brooklyn, Queens, for a few years, 7 years, until I came back here in Plainview. So it was,
full circle. You made full circle. You're back where you started.
No, back here. It's closer than I was.
So is John. Really John's full circle, too. He's back in New York, too, after 20, 30 years.
I'm still in the gym. I still make sure I go. I still keep myself in shape. I mean, it's. I can still compete if I want to.
Yeah. we might have to twist your arm. How old are you now?
I'm 49.
50 years old, over Masters Nationals, over 50. There you go. Pro card they give out.
Over 50, that's right.
We should get you in there. Come on.
I was just talking to a couple of good friend Ron. Ron, he's from the gym there. The other day about that too. Yeah, over 50. It's a good possibility.
You should do it, man. I think they would love to see you up there again. It would be like like a flashback from the past on those guys, Mannion and all those guys. To see you up on stage.
It would be great.
After 30-some years.
I would love to do. I wish. If there was a way, I would love to have something. I mean, with Haney, just to, being the fact that this all happened. It's in one of the other magazines a while ago did something, and they had some articles from Haney that was written up, and it would have been nice to have him actually on the phone too on something like this. That would be great. I mean, just to hear his side of everything. Because it's been a long time, and I guess I was kind of impressed with what he had said, and knowing that kind of impact was made from myself going back so many years ago. And how we still remember, when my name was mentioned.
Yeah, I think we could arrange a meeting. I think
you never know. Hey, listen, it's there's a lot of people be interested in hearing stuff like that.
Haney's a friend of ours. So tell us, go back to Mihalik's gym again, and tell us about Snake Man.
Oh gosh, Snake Man, a professor, very smart guy, but no common sense. The guy was a professor in school, in college, and he actually lived in his apartment. And the reason why they called him Snake Man is because his house was filled with reptiles and lizards. Reptiles and lizards. Now, Mihalik had to pick on somebody. He had to pick on somebody, and he used him many times. This poor guy. We would stand there, and we would hold ourselves from falling on the floor and choking and laughing. When he would do to this guy in front of everybody in the gym, and he thought there was nothing to it. There was no problem with that. One time he had this man go in the back and put this tanning lotion on, and when he came out, he was colorful. he was colorful. He had red and brown and yellow, and it was like a mixture of color. It looked pathetic.
How did Mihalik get him to put the coloring shit on?
What's that?
What did Mihalik say to him to get him to put the coloring stuff on?
Wait, how did Mihalik? I couldn't really hear. It's breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. What did Mihalik say to the guy that would make the guy go in the back and paint on this tanning stuff?
He told Snake Man that Snake Man wanted to compete, and he told Snake Man that this is what you have to do to win a show.
Oh my God!
So this is what you need, and you have to come out here in front of everybody and get used to being in front of everybody.
So he was fucking with them, in other words.
Yeah, you have to come out here and be in front of everybody, and you have to, pose different ways. He actually told them you have to pose to make the judges be aware of you. So he had this guy come out here. The color that he had on his body was, number one, is pathetic. He had his posing trunks on, and then he had him pose, and he had him standing on one leg posing.
Oh my God! It's like what Arnold did to that guy that time.
The screaming guy.
Screaming guy. Yeah.
He had him standing on one leg and then on the other leg, and had him move in certain positions, and the guy did it all, and the whole gym stopped. We just couldn't believe that someone could be so
gullible.
Manipulative. A smart man, mind you, a smart guy. But I mean, just it was amazing what he would do. And when we used to train too, I mean, Mahalik was a lot of all talk. I mean, he would like everyone to know and think, that nobody could keep up and do what he's doing and everything. And truth of the matter is that we would be working out, and he would take these guys that come in, or girls, women. We first of all, we used to have strippers come in and train in that gym.
Right.
Across the street, there was the Raven's Nest.
Right. I remember that, yeah.
Raven's Nest. And we had Pepper. Her name was Pepper. And all her friends. And they would come in with these short shorts, little shorts. And he would put them on the hack spots. And they would moan as they did their hacks.
Holy shit.
The whole gym stopped again. I mean, the place was always something going on that you just had to, it was like, always, you don't want to miss a moment in that place.
Right.
I mean, it was what he used to do. But I mean, they would moan and they would groan, and it was just amazing how the whole gym it was like we look forward to this stuff.
It was like a circus. It was like a circus every day. Right.
We grabbed this guy. One day we were working, we used to have new members come in, and this man would come in, and we had to train, and we did it together, calves, for this guy. So we trained calves with him. We taught him what to do. So we brought him on one of the, it was like a hack squat, but it was kind of straight. And we did standing calves on it. And we had the guy go up with this weight and go down really slow. And Mahalik would emphasize, slow, hold it. And he would have him holding it. Now go up, slow, squeeze. Go down real slow, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, slow, squeeze. The guy was in pain. He had the guy actually, when he left there, not knowing if he wanted to come back again. I mean, it was like so much pain. This is what he would do to someone who walked into the place. Now, the next day, the guy walks in, and him and I are doing calves. And we're using the same machine. It was the funniest thing. And Mahalik was on it. And I'm watching. The guy walks over. And he stands there and watches when Mahalik starting to do this exercise. So before that, Mahalik was going up and down and up and down and up and down. And this guy walks over, and all of a sudden he stops. And he squeezes.
Oh, he starts doing it slow?
And he goes down slow. And the guy wouldn't leave. And the guy was about 15, 20 feet away. And Mahalik comes over to me. Says, when the frick is this guy going to leave? It's like, because he couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
The guy finally walked away. And it was like, thank God. He gets off the machine. He goes, I couldn't take another set. Because he was doing it the way he was telling this guy to do it.
Right.
And it was
he just liked to fuck with people.
The character.
How'd you meet Mr. G? Who's a I know that you have some kind of a connection to him back in the day, and he's a regular on our website. So what's your connection to Mr. G?
There was no. We just met from that. There really was no connection.
Let me ask you this one question, Andy. You really didn't compete as much as you probably should have back in the day. You had unlimited potential. You were probably one of the only guys, I'm sure probably the only teenager, 235 pounds and ripped. Do you ever feel like you want to come back one more time and just see if you still got it and maybe, try to get a pro card and get some validation? Or are you done with bodybuilding?
Yes. No, I do feel that every once in a while, yes. I absolutely do. I had a lot of potential. Back then, it was actually said by quite a few editors of them and photographers that I was going to be the next big bodybuilder. It was me, my name. And I guess things didn't turn in that direction. It wasn't meant to be, obviously. I think I lived in too much of what was going on in that gym. Had I actually gone and maybe been in a different place, I probably would have done better. I just had too much going on in that place. It was too much with the diet, too much guessing and doing things as far as the training. I think 115 sets is an awful lot.
Right. I'd say so.
Well, now you came out. 79 is when you were in the Teen America with Haney. Then I think 82 you came back and won Mr. New York State. So you did have a little span there, competitive, period.
You mean a lapse?
Yeah, you had a lapse, and then you came back 82. You won Mr. New York State. So with that kind of momentum, what you just sort of just stopped there, or what happened?
No, actually, I've gone on. I did the Eastern America too.
And did you?
I don't know. That didn't. And I'm trying to think of the year that was. It was after that.
And then when did you go to California and compete?
In California, I competed in the Mr. California show. And there was something else, another show out there I competed in that was not as prestigious as far as the University of California before that. I did 2 shows out there, and I guess I should have continued on, but it was kind of a tough thing because of my school. I mean, I had 40 units and 40 credits of school to take every trimester. So my schooling was, I used to go 5 in the morning to the gym, then I'll be in school all day and night, and then I have to study. So it was kind of a tough thing to do, and I also got married at the time too. So I had other obligations. But so it was kind of a tough thing to stay on top of. When I went to when I was in California, I had everything I could use there. The gyms were great. The weather was beautiful. I was tan. I used to go to the beach and study at first, and it wasn't worth it. It wasn't good. I mean, I would be at the beach. I'll be on page 20, and about 2 hours later, when I left the beach, I was on page 5. So it didn't work right. It just didn't work right with that. So I mean, it was kind of a tough thing. I was dark and I was big and I was cussed. But, the actual competition, Mahalik, many times in his career, like I said, many times in his career, he didn't go the whole distance. Right. After his Mr. America and after the years that he won all that stuff, he also would train, and then at the end, he would sort of back down on it.
Right. So you think you picked up those habits from him?
I picked up on the same thing, and that's what I'm trying to say. It just wasn't beneficial. I think if I would have had a little more stability behind me, in that sense, the guy knew his stuff, but obviously, he didn't know about the proper way. I mean, I think his dieting, he just didn't realize it.
A little too extreme, yeah.
It's just too much.
We got to get you back on stage. If you want me to help you out, I'd be more than willing to volunteer my time. I think it would be a good project. We can do some training videos with you, and maybe we can get you back on stage at the Masters Nationals.
I'd love to do that. I mean, it doesn't take my body. The way my body works is, I pretty much all my life had maintained a type of shape, and I'm in a condition that probably if I took a good month, in a month and a half, I can get myself in 2 months in contest shape. I mean, I always have the abdominals. I always have the vascularity. I might have dropped a few pounds, but I gained that quickly once I'm back in the gym again. That's how my body works.
What are you weighing nowadays?
What's that?
What are you weighing nowadays?
Actually, I lost a little bit of weight because I haven't been in there as much. So I'm about 210. 210. That's lighter than I usually. I'm usually, when going back maybe about a couple years ago, even a couple of years ago, I was maybe about 220, 225. I always stayed about 225. Now that's still ripped. I mean, I'm talking about an 8-pack, not a 6-pack. I keep myself in the, I was never one to how some people before a show would gain a lot of weight or they're off season. They just put on as much bulk and mass as they can. I never did that. I pretty much stayed for all the years going back when I was even into the competition. I would always stay at a good 225 to 200, around that weight, 225. And if I decided I was going to try to go into the show, I would take it up from there. But I always kept myself at a good lean, with the muscle mass. I mean, it's one thing I did. I do have a fast metabolism. I can get away with eating certain things. That's why the diet that he gave me, it wouldn't work. I need to have a lot of protein, and I need to have a lot of carbs.
And water would help too.
Basic nutrients.
I need to have some water, but I would love to get back. I would love that.
All right, let's do it, man. I think that's something that a good goal to set for yourself for this coming year.
Let's do it. That's it. I'm all for it. I mean, definitely. I mean, a little bit of something to look forward to, something to push. Having some kind of a goal like that.
Yeah, let's talk, man. We'll talk after the show.
Excellent, definitely.
Andy, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and talking to us and giving us some of the old stories from the old days, and hopefully we can create some new days for you.
Definitely, I love that, folks. I thank you very much for having me on.
All right, John. Andy was a great guest. I mean, you gotta give this guy credit. I mean, he had sometimes these people or these young guys, when they do real well when they're young, they tend to have a harder time, I find, following that bodybuilding career into their I guess later years, into their 20s and 30s. And having Mahalik as a coach, it seemed like it really didn't help him too much in that sense.
Well, yeah, Greg Valentino told me about Andy, a while ago, and lo and behold, I trip over him at Bev's gym. Ron Norman introduced me to him.
Yeah,
and I go, Ron says, this is the guy that almost beat Lee Haney and ruined his career. And I go, that's Andy Lopedote? And he goes, yeah, you know him? And I go, well, I know about him. And he goes, come on, let me introduce you to him.
How does he look now?
I'm telling you, he's absolutely not pulling your leg at all. The guy's shredded.
Really?
He's about my height, and I think he's more than 210.
Really?
Yeah, he's thick as a brick, man.
He says he's shredded at 210, so that's pretty big, John.
You can just see, he wears these long, gray, the old school gray sweats, the long pants and a long shirt. You can just see stuff popping all over the place from underneath.
It's amazing, the genetics on this guy. I mean, to have 20-inch arms training in your basement at 17 years old, I mean, no wonder why Mahalik didn't believe him.
He was definitely a freak.
I'm sure that the death of his father probably had a lot to do with, him not continuing with the same gusto that maybe he had before. And, look, the guy did become a chiropractor, and, he put his schooling first and his family first, and you can't doubt him for that. But you know what? If this guy has the genetics he does and he's still training that hard, I'd love to see him up on stage in that 50 and over in the Masters category. I bet you he'd clean house.
He would. Yeah, he could step on stage today.
It'd be a nice validation, too. Imagine he gets a pro card at 50 years old.
He would be a Charlie Arm story.
Yeah, it would be. It really would be.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the whole show went well. For a Christmas show, we had the Brad Sciullo, great, stories with the eating. The guy wanted to eat a shark. I mean, come on, you can't get much better than that. And we got to get this guy in the studio with one of these other eaters, and we have to have some kind of a contest, because this is something you got to see, in person. It's much better from a visual perspective.
Absolutely.
And of course, we got to say, thank you to our good friend Victor Conte for taking time out of his schedule and for supporting the RX Muscle site and always giving us some entertaining insights into the world of professional sports.
I got to tell you, Victor turned down the Wall Street Journal, the New York Daily News, and I think one other paper, and told them that I'm just going to be on RX Muscle. You'll have to just listen to you just have to listen to the show on Monday night.
Is that what he said?
Yes. Not Daily News. ESPN 1 and 2. It was Wall Street Journal, ESPN 1, and ESPN 2. All want him, and he goes, "No, I'm going to do RX Muscle, and you guys can pick what you want off the interview on Monday."
It's because they only give him like 3 minutes to talk, and Victor needs like at least a half hour.
Well, plus they hound the shit out of him, and they camp outside of his house. They annoy the crap out of him. So
he loves it, though. He does.
He does. He thrives on it.
Well, we had a great show, and it'll be a great Christmas, hopefully. And everyone out there, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys before New Year's for the year-end wrap-up.
That's right. And everybody, you're going to be out there partying and going to parties and having a good time. Just be responsible, be safe, and come back to us for the new year.
Well, I'd like to thank our guests tonight, Brad Sciullo, Andy Lopedote, and Victor Conte for stopping by. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio, the truth hurts.
Heavy Muscle Radio is a presentation of RxMuscle.com. The truth in bodybuilding. Tune in next week at the same time for another round with Dave Palumbo and John Romano. Only on Heavy Muscle Radio.